about that. Plenty of options for them.
Well, I think it's a difference though, right? Like, we'll see teams against like Peps, right? With FD God, you kind of pin him. It was like a Lucio player, right? And I think that's like pretty impactful. But I think Funny Astro has moved past the Lucio one trick like allegations, right? I think, you know,
Funny Astro has been well past playing Lucio
like,
nowadays.
I don't think it's as impactful as like targeting against some other teams.
Am I rooting for this match? Good Overwatch.
I don't think so.
That's usually my answer. Good Overwatch.
Maybe VP just like have an idea. We know that Fixer probably looks, I don't know, his best when it comes to like some of these flex supports anyway. So Virtus Pro definitely found some strength in that direction. We got Malga out the gates for VP.
Again. Okay, we saw this last time from VP. They love this Malga comp.
Really good against Sim. So I talked a little bit about it yesterday, but obviously we didn't see it. But you stomp right on top of the Sim just like that. The burrow comes through, and you're able to deal with the Sim. I think this is
good start though.
Look here from VP making some adjustments. We haven't seen anybody in EMEA, Mitch, really go for this comp against the Sim setups. We've seen everybody just kind of roll over and die against it, not really kind of try anything. So this is a great look here for VP.
This is the kind of comp that we saw, you know, someone like
don't stream it? I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I don't do that, but whatever works for you, right? That's what matters.
Virtus Pro able to make some use of it. Malga's gotten a little bit of a slight buff.
There we go.
Venture in terms of their fire rate.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. The Malga slight buff is barely it. That was just they make the perk a little bit better type of buff, you know?
He just gets sort of pumped with damage. Quartz obviously on the.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's the right pick to sort of deal with this Malga. Go into those 150 charged railgun shots. Also can break that Kate's fight fairly quickly. And that'll have KSA drop to the point to have a flip back.
There is a lot, I agree.
Wasn't really any help for Vestola there as Quartz, okay, saving
okay, so for Twisted Minds here.
Away, and then lands a shot.
Ooh, Quartz!
I mean, good again, just
so we saw VP try this earlier. By the way, is this first to 3 or first to 4? First to 3, okay.
Shockwave as the Sojourn player here for Twisted Minds. You're like, okay, yeah, we're going to be able to stop that Sim, right? And Yubi makes a change over to Tracer, but if you're not going to be able to shut down Quartz.
How many games will be today? 4.
A long day.
But they're lower bracket final, grand finals, and then lower bracket final, grand finals, back-to-back regions. So.
But we've seen it takes a little bit more than just the Orisa to deal with, you know, a good Ramatra player, and I think KSA has absolutely been that. It definitely feels like his best pick at the moment. Pistola wants to try and charge him, but they're a little bit separated. His Shockwave has to almost use a drill run to try and...
the Pistola swap. See, this is okay. So, this is what I was wondering, because I've been watching a few of the VP matches, and they really tried this Malga comp, and then they always end up swapping off of it right away. So I'm always wondering, like, is something happening differently in scrims that's making it a little bit different, right? Does that make sense? This is what I'm saying? Like, is there something that just happens in scrims that, like, that they dominate so hard with the Malga comp because they always end up swapping off the hero, unless they like it as like an opening like opportunity, like you open with Malga and then eventually swap anyway after like certain ultimates and things are had. Like I guess I don't know. Quartz is playing very well to start the day, and obviously, yeah, some of they obviously don't want to, you know, you want to get some dubs in early, right?
But now it's getting dangerous.
We'll see.
I think Shockwave's actually been sick on the venture, like coming up with a few pickoffs. We've seen like in a lot of these fights, able to come up and connect with 2 and really make it tough for the backline. But Quartz is just going uncontested. I mean, you know, Jayu trying to put some pressure on, but Quartz has just seemed like...
Might have been expecting the sim. I guess that's fair.
Pretty strong brawl setup.
I mean, there was only Genji and Lucio bans, so yeah, I guess that they could expect the sim comp. Yeah, but like, the thing is, I've watched them play the sim comp with the Malga, and the problem is that like the sim comp still seems really good against Malga. And it's not the first team I've seen try to run the Malga against the sim. Because the idea is it's an all-in strategy, yes, but like you need to like, the sim will eventually, a couple heals later, sim's gonna survive that, and you're just gonna farm anyway, right? So that's why I'm confused. Like, it wouldn't even. Like, that's, if you're going Malga for sim, I guess your argument is like Orisa, but like, I don't know. I just feel like I've seen VP play better with the... Oh, okay, back on Malga. I don't know. I got no. This is what I mean with the one that's hard for me to know that stuff, so... Let's go with whatever we got here, right?
So maybe you're able to make something out of it, but Simple with this Kitsune Rush should be able to close it out.
By that Orisa ultimate, a lot of teams use Orisa ultimate as a fortify rather than a team wipe. Doesn't mean that teams won't use it for a team wipe. We've seen some teams use it successfully for like limbs and all that, but yeah, it's one of those moments with that where it's not. Yeah, just how it is.
Twisted Minds lost 2 kills, I think, at the start of that fight. They were like a 3 versus 4. Have
we seen the new map in OWCS? I don't think it's on the map list, which is fair. I don't think having it on the map list right away. Obviously, they already have to deal with the balance patch changes, which didn't shift much, thankfully, for them. But
Shockwave played this venture, and I think you're actually getting some good value out of it. But I mean, Quartz is just.
That's why you don't see it a ton
at range. I mean, look at the damage, right? 4,600. Jwoo 2,400 on the other side. You see Shockwave almost kind of keeping pace, right? With him,
looks like Vistola's on D.Va here, but this is on this map. I forgot what it's called. This is the one with the train, right?
Every time Vistola comes out of spawn, pretty much, just getting chunked down by the Sojourn at range, and now you're going to see a swap. So the Freya coming in here for VP. I wonder, though, Mitch, if because you're going to see this swap here for VP, Twisted Mind feels like there's an opening to maybe go back to the sim.
Definitely something that can punish this D.Va map.
You got on the new map 5 times, and you get to win. At the point, I mean, I don't even know the map that well to be able to give you that type of feedback. All right, so D.Va starting off against the Ramatra. Both teams are going to kind of slow it down. If you take the extra 100% 100 HP Fortified perk, you get the... Good question. I'd imagine so, because it's activate and fortify, so I assume it does, yeah. Unless they have that set to something else, which I guess could make sense, but yeah, I think that's how it works.
D-Mech right off the rip, though, right? I mean, where is the supports being able to kind of help Vistola as Jwoo loses a fight on the other side of the map there? It's funny, Astro and KSA take out both damage dealers. This is looking a lot like last week, Mitch, where this was not a real competitive game.
I mean, this round has not started well. In fact, if this
always getting a good bath in.
You know, what Twisted Minds end up rolling out with over much of this series, Virtus.pro have to maybe even think they look towards Icenom and the different pool, maybe that more hazard-based gameplay to try and find an edge, because that's where they were able to get there on occasion in some previous matchups. Fixer knows done well.
Good start again by Twisted Minds. I mean, obviously a huge pick there on the Quartz, but like, I feel like so far for VP, it's been, they start off
much of this time. Obviously,
in like a decent spot, then they lose once. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they get there here. Good shots there by Shockwave. Excellent shots by Shockwave. Very, very accurate there for a few of that. Nice stick by UV. I mean, obviously, like, Arista will survive that because of the goal. But still, you know, reasonable.
Yeah, it's a nice Suzu there.
Just finish getting your jobs. No worries at all. Have a good rest of your day.
That's going to be able to keep him alive.
Have a good rest of your day. Heck yeah.
Early, it's still just a lot of contest there that comes in for Twisted Minds. They probably get another like 15-20% on the point. So now we'll see VP in control of this.
Are Juno Kiriko the typical support meta now? It's all over the place. I mean, Juno Kiriko is definitely a comp we see, but we've seen Lucio comps. We've seen, I mean, heck, we've seen teams run Ana. We've seen, Brig comps. There's a lot of difference. Bap Yari, yep, Bap Lifeweaver. Very, very, I mean, heck, I even saw, it might have even been VP yesterday, or, no, it wasn't VP. It was,
Look at this, Twisted Minds very quickly.
Might have been AQ who ran the Mercy for a little bit, like on like a Circa Real or something. Like it was just like just to kind of get like a spam around the map. So like we've pretty much most heroes played during this. There's a lot more hero variety on the support side because they've really found a good spot on that. I wish they could do the same for like the tanks and things like that, because obviously, but it's a little bit harder when there's only one tank, and
I think
95% of the time you have to play a damage reduction tank.
You're gonna have orbital rays on both sides, but the annihilation here for Twisted Minds, and then Quartz with that overclock, even with the orbital ray.
Quartz with the huge pick on a Gala already. I mean, that is going to be a rough start there. I mean, you lose your Juno ultimate. Twisted Minds is going to go for him now. I mean, there's no reason why they won't, because at this point they have such good ultimates to go in here that you just
this is brutal here for VP.
Kind of just go in with it. Yeah, they don't even have to ult yet. I mean, they get the pick on Vistola, and that should be a pretty clean map, I think. They do get Quartz, but I think can't you just pop your ult here? Yep. Great idea. This is going to force out the ults regardless. And I say that, actually. Now that I see that play, it might have been a bit ambitious. And the thing is, I probably would have done the exact same play because I saw the same thing. But, like, you look at it in hindsight, you're like, On the new tank? I'm not sure the new tank is. The next hero's Wu Yang, right?
By KSA. I just don't think the rest of the team was in position to be able to follow it up, right?
I have no idea what the next...
like, the supports in the alleyway.
Let's talk about Hazard.
Figures like,
Hazard's
okay, if I use my Annihilation, if you have funny
let's go. Love to hear it.
Closer to use there, like I think that is a great scenario for TM. It just seems like they weren't all on the same page at that moment.
You like playing Hazard?
Now it looks like Vistola might have caught a little bit too close.
It's not good at Hazard right now.
He's able to back away, but the healing's going to take a little bit of time. And in the meantime, Twisted Mind's been able to use that orbital ray to at least get into the map. Jaywu, though, controls the Mega. Quartz is looking for a target with his overclock, and much of it is expired, completely trolled.
I gotta give credit here. What was looking like a Twisted Minds like possibility of like just like rolling through this map, VP, after that aggressive play by Ramatra, has now kind of turned the favor in favor of them. Oh, what a stick too! Jaywu! Is there a world here where VP takes this? It's Tracer and Juno alive now, so they're gonna have to take a team fight in the middle. And I think Simple is they're gonna let Simple TP to one of them, and then they're gonna go in with Kitsune. So still, it might be a little bit in favor of Twisted Minds, but no, Fixa also has ult, so it's basically a 50-50 here because they're still gonna be able to get to the point, right? They're still gonna get to the point no matter what. I think that's gonna happen. Vistola gets a huge pick though. I'm loving the new mystery heroes by Vistola. He's playing mystery heroes today. He's got 3 tanks in 1 round. If it works, it works though. And wow, VP actually takes that round. I was about ready to say Twisted Minds was going to roll through that. Then that play happened on the corner, which I don't even know if it was necessarily a bad play. Like, it's going to be a hindsight, like, probably shouldn't have done that. But, like,
yeah, like I talked about, I kind of
out of nowhere, just like swap the other way. That's awesome to see. Yeah, that was a really good comeback on that one.
You had an opportunity to get like a pick or two when you're
I agree with you on
99. So that'll send us to a 3rd round here on Busan. Is a very important map here for both sides, right? You know, getting off of that first map, you know, forcing the other team to kind of you know, burn some of their selections. You do see in that 2nd round though, Mitch, when Shockwave goes over to the Freya, he's caught up and passed Quartz in terms of the damage.
Yeah, which has obviously been crucial. Eventually,
that's why you're going for
him? Been able to take hold. It definitely felt like it was a slower start, but there was some awkward positioning at the beginning of the round for Vistola, where there's that really early DMAC converter.
Okay, here we go.
It wouldn't need tempo.
I kind of like VP's comp here, so as long as like and easier said than done, as long as VP doesn't get picked off really early here. I like the D.Va because the mobility you have, it allows you to kind of get around the map a little bit quicker. I don't necessarily like D.Va versus Ramatra, right? But you ignore like that type of matchup. Like it's not about tank versus tank of that. You're not going to sit there and just run at each other in a straight line. So I actually kind of prefer the D.Va on this map due to mobility, right? And that's kind of exactly what happens here. They flip the map. The Ramatra kind of gets stuck on point. You can see it. The Ramatra, what's your decision you have to do here, right?
Keep Vistola in mech, getting dangerously low. Looks like he's going to get out for some healing.
I feel like he definitely needs both of his support.
Ramatra cannot help on any of this. So this is going to come down to, this is a battle between the supports, and apparently Funny Astro and Simple just take that and then win it. So pretty intense there, but it worked.
Great deployment of the Suzu there, just make it impossible for Jaywu to get anything done, and he goes to 1. Funny Astro picks him up.
Yeah. The way he just chases, I mean, that's Jaywu he's trying to hunt down, right? I mean, one of the better tracers, better DPS players.
I thought VP should have taken that team fight to begin with. There ended up being maybe like a split decision on what they wanted to do there, which I get. That can happen.
That is impressive, man.
That can happen.
Shows that he has like 0 fear when it comes to taking these duels.
And it's important because they can play separately from the Ramatra on the point. Like Simple and Funny Astro, or Simple and Yubi can play here and control this to the right side of the map. VP have to basically use all 5 players to dive on 1 or 2 of those positions and try and overwhelm them in numbers.
And
it's going to be really hard to shift here.
Ooh, good out. Doesn't get the trade though. Quartz survives that. I think that was a good idea. If I Shockwave, like it's an isolated 1v1, Quartz just did a good shot. VP picks up 2 picks right now. This is going to be huge. Vistola's going to get D-Mech though, which is going to be a bit of a problem, but I think if they can get 1 more kill here, and it looks like they are going to be able to get Ramatra, I think it's going to be a trade out, and they're going to take the team fight. Yep, they get Quartz. And, you know, around 64%, they'll cap at 63. 62. Wow, look at that, even better. So that creates more team fights. Now they can kind of slow it down a little bit. They can choose their battles when they want to go in. That's kind of a part of how you have to play it. So, it's pretty sweet.
It's coming down from the support line. I know Yubi and Quartz as well, right? As Vistola is going to get a mech back here. So we'll have it for this next fight, which is very important.
Kitsune rush here for both sides, though. Those cooldowns to be recycled definitely feel like it favors the Ramatra and the frontline scenario, especially with that increased throughput for Simple. Here it comes, Orbital Ray, going to be committed to the fight as well.
Huge pick already on Quartz. The Kitsune, though, could win the team fight here. Yep, there it is again, 3v3, though. Vistola does have ultimate, which is an extra HP bar, so look at this as maybe like a I think they're gonna, Twisted Minds are gonna win that team fight. Thankfully, Vistola makes it to the point. If Vistola didn't make it to the point there, that would have been really bad for VP because everybody doesn't know how it works. Basically, if
the issue is that they're not able to keep the rest of the team alive.
Basically, in that situation, if Vistola doesn't make it to the point in time, they're gonna stagger him. He's gonna be basically do nothing the rest of the game.
You're gonna give up.
Like they're gonna stagger him. He's gonna be basically at like 80% when they stagger him out. Then after that stagger happens, it's gonna be like a rough play. So that does happen.
Same amount of damage.
Look at this. Yeah. He's just hunting down Shockwave in the spawn here. Of course.
Quartz with a huge pick on a Shockwave. Vistola's going to try to back away because Gala has Juno ultimate, so you can kind of give it a second here, which is exactly what they're going to go for. They're going to go back in with a Juno ultimate. Probably wait as long as they can, just so that way Shockwave can kind of be involved in this team fight. Right? There is the Juno ult, though. It's going in. Doobie gets a pick on a Jwoo. Quartz is going to maybe go down, but I don't think it will matter. Vistola has to ult that. Not going to be the best ultimate. Good pulse bomb time, and it looks like Twisted Minds are probably going to take this map. Yep, but wasn't the worst one. Wasn't the worst one, though, yeah, right?
And they don't get anything with their orbital ray there towards the end.
Something that is often looked at. Puts, Fixer in a position probably just to, roll out on this Lucio.
All right, here we go.
Of course, we know he can.
Let's see what comp they have in store.
Storied Lucio player in his time. And Twisted Minds might be feeling out this Malga look at themselves. Say, okay, maybe we can have sort of decent protective architecture for someone like Yubi. Have the sim. That extra mobility could go a long way. But KSA might have other ideas. Over towards the Diva here.
So we saw a few times yesterday the Queen actually get banned. So it'll be VP playing the Queen with a Moira Lucio backline with the Venture Genji. So this is a completely new look for us here.
Junker Queen chat, it's happening. I love it.
And probably won't see too much of it.
Not the best start right away for.
Yeah, not great. But again, this Genji Queen.
Not the best start for VP right away, but we're seeing Queen. All right, chat. What are the chances that's the last time we see Queen this comp?
We don't know much about their Junker Queen, in fairness, but
maybe not. They're running Moira. Actually, Moira Lucio with Queen seems a little bit.
Commanding shout, as well as she also gives more overhealth to
I guess it's fine.
And that in the context with the DPS passive getting a bit of a boost means that Jwoo has an extra 25% health, extra healing reduction. Means that it's easier to go
Wraith,
Genji missions.
Thanks for the 17 months of the Prime sub. Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, but how players have talked about
we'll see.
Sim and how Sim has evolved the game over the last few weeks, and really just kind of her position in the game. Sim can poke at range with the right clicks, right? Mobility to a team that you can't really achieve with anybody else, ramping damage. I still think people are trying to figure out how you kind of play against it. That's an immortality.
Huge pick by Queen there on the Quartz. Okay, slowing it down a little bit.
Just getting everybody out of dodge.
Yeah, big,
doesn't get the axe onto anybody, so it's gonna, delay the cooldown there a little bit. This is the problem right here, by the way, chat, with Junker Queen, is that you just kind of sit there, and you're kind of just on the point static because you don't have the best mobility. Your mobility that would increase your speed is on a long cooldown that you have to save. So a lot of the gameplay loop is just kind of doing exactly this, sitting there and waiting for your teammates to get a bunch of damage to them. So. Yeah.
So good look here for Virtus Pro. Coalescence is online. Obviously, very quickly developing ultimate, even more so now that Moira's primary healing has been boosted.
Yes, but Twisted Minds, though, they get up to 93%, right? So just one fight for them to be able to take this, and they're going to come up with just about everything to work with. I think you can also see when we're on with Ice Gnome, just kind of circling, right? Figuring out where this is. Oh, that's a nice use of the TP there.
There's the sim wall.
Out of the way. Then they're going to drop the Ant Matrix with the sim wall. This is a brutal scenario here for VP. Fixa ends up using the beat, but only gets 2.
You get a blade off, but I mean, you can't really get anybody with that, especially with beat. Quartz gets the free kill. Obviously, Queen isn't even there yet with ult, trying to go out of spawn quickly. You should give a Junker Queen a Soldier 76 sprinting ability. Why the Ramatra ban? It's because, I mean, truthfully, yesterday when Twisted Minds had Ramatra ban, the way they played was way different, and it didn't go as well. So I think their vision there was really just ban Ramatra to kind of maybe try a different team comp. Again, the problem that we're seeing, and this is starting with how VP's playing,
you would say that Yumi's probably the originator there. Is Ice Gnome actually? That's a huge anti. Connects with almost everybody there.
It takes a little bit for them to get things going here with the Queen comp, but a great Queen ult ends up team wiping them. So maybe there's a world that works, right?
We've seen Twisted Minds play the sim for much longer than just about every other team, but AwCrap is pretty nuts on it with Checkmate in the fold as he has picked that hero up and use it to great effect rather quickly. So Flashpoint will open. It will be VP who gets here first.
Tectonic Shock here for Shockwave, but I'm not really sure
we'll get I mean, we are getting a mid-season play test in Wu Yang. Yep. That's Aqua's now Wu Yang. Yeah, it's already been announced as a mid-season play test. All right, so 4v4 right now. Quartz gets a huge pick again. I mean, it feels like Quartz just keeps getting pick after pick, and like when that happens, there's not much you can do follow-up wise. Oh, what a Hinda. It's also been really interesting to see them still try to make Queen work here, because while I have seen some good plays by Queen, I think and my initial reaction is that you just get so much spam on you that, like, unless you constantly have Moyer Ultimate or you're able to go in together as a core, this is what happens. Still cool to see, though, right? Like, it's nice, but
things in shooting games, right, is when, like, players change, like, levels of verticality typically, right, where, like, you can't see them anymore. But, like, the Sim TP does the same thing, but, like, just in a complete 180, right? At that point, you see the TP come through, and it's completely behind you on the opposite side of the point. If you turn...
All right, here we go. I'm ready.
TP and you're dead. If you don't turn, they just go through and you're dead, right? As they force them
down. Ooh, Quartz again.
Oh, you lose Jay. That's brutal.
Okay, though.
I mean, I really felt like Quartz had bitten off a little bit.
Wait, did Quartz take the right click perk and then headshots like that? I didn't even realize. Gala gets a pick. Queen gets a pick too, so, you know, seeing a little bit of value of that Queen. Queen's going to be the target, though, because now, like, you're a little bit low. You don't have your cooldowns. But they're all going to get on Queen, and, like, if Queen, unless Queen gets a really good axe here, they could probably just grind the Queen down immediately. But although D.Va's getting pretty low, so as I say that, they're able to get some good heals there. D.Va stays alive on point. Queen is now back to full HP. Queen could actually carry this team fight with just a good ultimate. Also, this is the Mythic scene. Looks cool.
Especially if you can convert this into a little bit more tempo, some kill pressure. Jay-Wu has to contest with the immortality field, and it's too much to
Queen uses ult, and again, Quartz gets 2. VP gets 2. Queen manages to get 3 there, and I think this will be a team fight win for VP, unless they really heck this up, which I don't think they're going to do. Okay, they got to pick on Defixa. Never mind, they hecked it up, and now they're going to... Oh, boy. Yep.
You just cannot.
And there goes that. So even with like a good Queen ult, etc., they lose a team fight. I thought they had that. But I guess Lucio got back in time, and here we are. You know what I mean?
In the distance that you can cover with this sim is crazy, and Twisted Mind just putting on a great display how to use that here against Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro coming in with a very interesting comp. We saw the Queen get banned a few times yesterday. Maybe seems like something that could, end up popping in the meta a little bit more, but at least right now, not working against Twisted Mind sim setup.
VP's comp needs to win fights quickly, Matt. Right, they have good burst healing, you could say, but outside of that, the sustain isn't good. Quartz here, another Deadeye. Oh, Ice Gnome forced out of line of sight. And again, there's just not enough throughput to keep them standing. In fact,
see, I want to see. Listen, we need Junker Queen to work in these comps, chat, because I play ranked. I want to be able to play Queen if I want to. So this is a moment of we need Queen to be pretty good here, and it's not.
He needs to get out because there's going to be the entire team in his face in just a few seconds, right? Where Twisted Minds gets control of point yet again. I mean, dude, losing your tank that early,
we'll see.
That's obviously very difficult to keep Ice Gnome up. As
there's the window. They also have Beat to follow up. I do like the VP play here, but you're just gonna pop Beat in like 3, 2. They may not need Beat.
Now a huge advantage.
And an need Beat actually. Yep.
I
feel like half the time Gala's just flanking and just getting anything going. Queen picks up a kill last second, but like that doesn't do anything.
Something Virtus Pro struggled with heavily on that previous map because that simple Air Matrix is used purely just for healing. Keeping that D.Va in mech, obviously not the easiest thing when your D.Va's bobbing up and down and your Baptiste, you need to get those direct hits for that extra healing, but Simple already doesn't miss a healing grenade there. And this is desperation now for Virtus Pro.
Yeah, I mean, VP has Venture Ultimate and possibly Blade and Beat. Yeah, but Twisted Minds has... It's basically an even fight. But, like, when you have to have, like, your Venture go to point like that, you're going to, like, exert a lot of cooldowns early anyway. To the point where that happens, where, like, you can't touch the point, you can't do that. pretty clean win from Twisted Minds. I mean, I'll be real with you. Like, I'm not. The Queen got value, but wasn't like going to be able to bring some of that same gameplay that we saw. So I like the idea of them trying the comp, but it just wasn't working. You know what I mean?
They needed some time to get JWoo and
I don't know how this is going to work out. No, against the Ram, we've seen.
All right, I'm ready.
No, as of recently, right? That the
unclog the
Rams
sink.
actually win out against this Maga type of setup. You also have this Juno.
No, it doesn't work that way, chat.
I mean, this is what's been so good.
Sometimes I shave over it, and like sometimes some of the fur, like the fur, yeah,
the
fur.
only thing that I find quite interesting.
Sometimes my
is
beard
Force gonna
here
play
will
the
get
Freya
in there
here
over
and
time, and then
play
it
this
eventually
really
clogs
entire
it. So I
series.
use one of those like
Typically, he
snake
always
things,
kinda
and you just
goes,
take it out.
Towards the Soj, so maybe it feels like the Freya
That
here
makes
with some of
sense.
the high ground on this map, Mitch. Right, you can kind of like get on top of the buildings. And
I do
slide
like
down
the
for
sim ban. I think getting rid of the opportunity of that's a good idea. Really good start for VP. This is exactly the start VP needed after the past two maps. It was not good starts, and they were kind of behind the whole way, so that was really, really good.
Able to drag Funny Astro down, which doesn't really bode well for Twisted Minds.
You're gonna call your beard face fur from now on? Hey, if it works, it works.
The most important part of Twisted Minds comp here, Matt. Does Quartz have a massive game on the Freya? Has he been cooking something up for us here? Because Shockwave is more than happy to play either the Soj or the Freya here, and has looked good at that first fight.
I'd ideally like to see Quartz just play
this leads to a major next month.
Right? He was able to just kind of
this is the lower bracket finals. Winner of this goes to the grand finals to play against AQ. Really good recovery there by Twisted Minds. Obviously, when you have like a little bit of a rough start right there, it can be a little bit rough. But so that was a good job by the team there. Is what I'm saying.
Freya here building up to a bola shot rather quickly.
Very, very good job.
Maybe you feel like even with how Busan went, where you were using that no Soj and coming up with some really great results, you can actually just kind of copy that with the Freya here, and maybe just some of these longer sight lines give you an advantage.
Simple has more damage than Quartz right now. Just to give you guys.
Okay, so VP has window here. Pulse bomb. Probably go for just a pulse bomb on the back line, even if you don't get anybody with it, or like they cleanse it, like you're getting a cooldown out. I think that's the play. Or just do something like this. Nice job. And you have the opportunity for a pulse. Yeah, there you go. You know, I still like the proactiveness of that play. I love how JWoo is just like, hey, I want to come help the team. Bad idea. Goes to help the team, gets immediately rolled.
But though it's moving away from them, that's perhaps something that you need to consider.
Oh yeah, crap, with those trial reels, would you mind, like, when you have time, like, find me like 5 or 10 of the most popular ones that we had with like the caption? Because I think that's what we're supposed to do with that. After seeing how it went last night, that's what you're supposed to do.
Permanently 30% HP because it's simple, and well, what goes up must come down.
Nobody to TP to.
Here we go.
Nobody to TP to at the time. It looked like he was maybe kind of looking through like the wall there to go towards KSA, but not able to kind of get it in time. So that will be a little bit of a loss here. We'll see if they
VP takes a little bit of map control here. Don't really have any ultimates coming out.
Struggling a little bit with his Freya pressure from that long distance. Brought down by KSA, a little left hook to send him
job there.
UB though goes down. JWoo's having an excellent game so far. And it's annihilation for KSA. Fortunately, the Pulsar torpedoes come in when they're needed, and Simple now actually has to use his left click for a time. Keep KSA standing. Good stall here with his Ramatra, but no one's really matching the presence of JWoo right now, who's found Simple.
Nice Mauga ultimate. Listen, I know that they probably didn't necessarily need the Mauga ultimate, but they're like, I don't necessarily think they would have won without it. It was like one of those like 50-50 plays. And now looking at it, I think that was actually a great Mauga ultimate because they did pop ultimates from Twisted Mind's side to try to win that. Now they get the checkpoint. They're going to be able to start pushing the bot a little bit. It won't be too far because when you get the checkpoint, you spawn up pretty quickly. So now what VP is going to have to do is they're going to have to get a window going here into possibly a Sojourn ultimate. You could go either or. You don't have to go on any specific order there. You just need to make sure you're hitting that button the moment they start to make any sort of map control, so that way you can continue to move the map, but also get some good stuff going. So, yeah.
Maybe for that longer sight line, but when you see Shockwave playing the Sojourn,
I mean, I think the game's on the up and up on that one, explained, but that's going to be for, I think, you to decide too by just playing and experiencing. But I think Overwatch has been getting back on the up and up, I think, from what I've seen. People seem to be enjoying it much more ways to play the game, much more features in the game. It's been really nice. Huge pick by Quartz there. That's a problem there where, like, you can't let those trades happen because that trade right there is the difference between a really clean next team fight and having to back away in about 3 seconds. And that's exactly what you're going to see happen. Say, that pick alone saved them a little bit.
It is as
by just a little bit.
Quartz rounding a corner,
and I think that was important to showcase.
Let's see if this makes an impact.
Yeah, Gavin has no bias. Yeah.
Massive lead here. Shockwave forced into a tighter angle. There's Simple yet again getting on the kill feed in the best way possible.
Good news for VP is they were able to force out an ultimate. They didn't quite win that ult, but they forced an ult. And when you're low on ults, and you know, obviously they would have liked to get value from Sojourn, you're at least forcing out a good support ult. So.
UB has decided to pick it up. Still decent catch potential onto this Mauga, in fairness.
Simple just turns the corner. Almost just kills, like, one-shots Jaywu there. So Jaywu gonna have a world of trouble here trying to get towards his back line, as he does have a pulse bomb. You do lose funny Astro.
Still, really good job here by a lot of
I think this
VP. This has been a much better map for VP. This is kind of what you expect out of VP. This is how they usually play.
Enough in this fight.
Remember, don't get traded on. This is the one thing that's been an issue. They didn't get traded on. Okay, we can't get traded on during a team kill, so good job.
The very base of Twisted Minds. Annihilation here for KSA last time looked pretty good. More importantly, Twisted Minds are using their Ramatra as someone who contests well, stays alive for quite some time, and punishes anyone who lingers too close to the front line with that Nemesis form punch. So there's Yubi. Is there a catch there with that May wall? Yes, it's Vistola tucked into that small room. Caught out for the time being, but of course can use his shoulder charge to get out of this position, and frankly is in no...
Well, what VP's doing a really good job of right now is when they're in the neutral with no team, with ultimates, they're like just holding the bot, they're making a bunch of plays. Looks like their call was to all-in the Ramatra, which was the correct play, because look what they did. They all-in the Ramatra, forced out an ultimate, now they can come back in with even beat if they want to. Yep, there it is. Okay, this is the VP I like to see. We're not going to sit back. We're not going to, we're going to wait. Obviously, like right there, they were sitting there because they didn't have ultimates, but we're not going to sit here and try to play disengage all day long and never actually make a play. They said, you know what? We're going to all in the Ramatra. We're going to force out ultimate, counter with B.
This looks like two different teams, right? From the first two games. I mean, just absolute stomps in favor of Twisted Minds early on, but here on Runasabi, it has been all VP. An opportunity to complete the map as well here, Mitch, as Twisted Minds going to bring in a Lucio here, and Yubi going to go to the Tracer. Really, the only difference now, you're looking at this like...
You'd like to say real quick, my commentary is like Gabriel from
a heck of a lot of room, and he knows it's a shockwave just pees into the side room.
Is it? Yeah, I know his... So I've heard that his streams have been very popular in League. I think that's one thing I need to eventually look at, is like how people approach co streams, because I want to up my game on co streams. Like my next vision of my co streams is I'm going to have like a couch or a chair in like a different room where I watch it on like a TV, have a mic, and like get way more into it and like really give you full commentary the whole time. That's like my next like step up of it. So I'll have to do some research just in general to kind of see like how that general vibe is with co-streams. I mean, obviously everybody has a different vibe, but I definitely would like to see. Obviously, I know like Nicewig, does a great job in Apex. Tarek does a great job in Valorant, etc. So. I love co-streaming. I always want, as you know, I'm always trying to improve on stuff. I try not to get stuck into complacency mode sometimes, which I have. I'm not gonna say I don't, but I try to get out of complacency mode as quick as I can.
Maintain it. There's probably a lot of buffer, a lot of ground to give its house money that they're more than willing to pay with right now.
But that's my current goal, because I have a room that I'm gonna have for that now, and it's gonna be perfect for all that setup. So I'm looking to do that. But like not probably the next stage, so probably like September-ish, around then, for like the Sweden land. I want to maybe try to do something like that. So
brutal loss, right? I mean, you're gonna have Cage Fight here, Cage Fight Pulse Bomb, but
you'd like to try and see me get other co-streamers as well. I mean, I agree. It's just like a lot of them, like the other co-streamers are kind of like in their own, like they do their own thing together. They have their own established like kind of like group of people they watch it with. So it's a lot harder to do that when I don't even really know a lot of them. So it seems like they do a really good job though. I mean, I've seen. I mean, I think that, like Commander X and Hunter have done a great job. I mean, they're always, great commentary, a lot of, like, good laughs, good banter. Like, they've done a great job, so. Yeah, I think a lot of them already have, like, kind of their pre-established, like, kind of groups they'll do that with, and that's totally fine.
That didn't connect with the player, and then also being able to deal with Quartz. It feels like a lot of times out of the spawn, not giving him that space to dominate like he was in these early maps.
Great map by VP here, by the way. VP has what's really changed here for VP in the comparison to the other two maps. They're not just sitting there and playing it complacent and safe. They're going in, they're being aggressive. They're not giving time for Twisted Minds to set up and make a decision. They're saying, hey, we're going to make you make a reactionary play, and we think that we'll win more team fights and you can react to our play. It's been really good, so, yeah, I think that's important to see here.
It's going to have to be a pretty magical run for
We'll see how this last team fight goes here. VP is kind of set up for a good ult, but we'll see. Yep.
Jaywu on a flank here.
I ended up not doing it, Prince. Again, that's on me. I think I just kind of overbooked myself with that type of stuff, like wanting to do that tier list today. I should have just aimed for next week, which is what my initial plan was. And I'm like, wait a second. 15 hours into my 17-hour stream, I'm like, we should do a tier list this weekend. And I'm like, after that 17.5-hour stream, I'm like, no, we shouldn't. I'll do it next week. I tried, though. Yeah.
Pistola is going to be fighting fit, could just duck into that side corner here. So we'll go back to a neutral situation where Pistola can contest from a safe position into the back line. Shockwave tried to get Yubi though. Forced to Pistola.
Dude, you know what was really cool last night? You know how I said I wanted to do Lego streams? When I was doing the sponsored rival stream last night, somebody told me about a website where you can get designs and like repurpose or like just get like generic like Lego pieces and build really cool things. Like somebody said like someone got like a Ramatra one from that website, and like they built a Ramatra Lego because like it was on there and it was really good. So I'm gonna have to look into some of that stuff too.
Still no checkpoint just yet.
Whenever I want to do some Lego stuff. Yeah, it's like a website where like, also great job by VP here. That is what we need to see from VP. Nice job. Play with that aggression. Play like that was great by them. Oh man. But yeah, it's like a website where like you basically can like you can basically just buy like a plan for something and then you can just build Legos off of that. What's the website? I think I have it here. It was something called, I think it was called Rebricked or Rebrickable or something. Keep in mind, I want to point out, I haven't done enough research, so there's other stuff around that, etc. My apologies, but I haven't.
They're gonna have to find a win though.
Then I can snooze one. So
get into a Sojourn head-to-head. I kind of like this now.
So a BAP ban and a Freya ban. I actually like that Freya ban because like you're gonna be like, oh, why don't they ban Sim? They already banned Sim. They can't ban Sim again. Like that can't happen, right? So if they can't ban Sim again, then
maybe at least we'll see what happens with Twisted Minds.
You know, the next best step is to just basically eliminate the option of that being a thing and then hope for the best. And like Sim on this map isn't gonna be as good in my opinion. Like until third, maybe second if you want to do some backline plays. So this is a good map. This isn't the worst map for Twisted, for VP, but it's still a good map for Twisted Minds.
Something that can obviously give you some room to fall back.
What does it mean when someone gives you a sub? When someone gives you a sub, it means that you'll get the emotes for the channel for the month, and you'll get no ads for that month because it's set so like that's how it works.
Twisted Minds fighting to get into that grand final. Another crack at AwCrap, who look
here we go.
Above right now, but they're getting the extra reps here in the lower bracket. Perhaps that's not such a bad thing for them. Ice Block,
they are running the sim. So they are committed to running the sim.
He's looking worse for wear already.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Sim is really good here. You know, I'm surprised that VP didn't go the Farrakhan. Maybe that's because they expect the swap to go that way. Yari's in OWCS sometimes, yeah.
With the Sim, with the Sojourn, and obviously the Alari in the mix now too.
We gotta be careful. They gotta make sure Jaywu survives here because there's no wall to cover there. Quartz is kind of out of position, but like not out of position at all. It's like a weird like, it's more of a good position with a good angle. But yeah, you're a little bit. That's what happened. Shockwave does go down there, but I wonder if there's a world where they can still turn this fight because they got the pick initially on Quartz. They don't have to worry about the pressure of Sojourn. Sojourn will be back in about probably 5 seconds, but they don't have to worry about that for a little bit. Great Maywall act. I mean, great Maywall. That Maywall actually might help them survive a point. Great ultimate by Gala. There it is. Going into defensive mode now. I mean, they're gonna get a kill. They're gonna win that team fight. Okay, exactly the start that VP needed on this map. You know, we've seen a lot of teams just kind of roll through that right away, and that's that. So I'm sure they're pretty happy to be able to get through that map like in the fashion that they did, because that's not easy to do. That is not easy to do.
4 TM.
So good job there.
Maywall there, like you talked about, that goes down on top of the Sim TP. I don't know if you would have taken the TP if you were Yubi, but still kind of making it very difficult to even get any use out of it here. Is going to be with a captive Sun, a nice angle here via the teleporter.
That Sim TP gets is simple and Quartz in a pretty powerful spot, but last time Shockwave were able to dig them out. That is a devastating sim wall though. Shockwave's going to play so dangerously now to get into it.
I do like that May ult. That May ult could get a kill. Simple's actually really low in the air too. I think this is just one of those like VP just doesn't have the amount of ultimates to be able to compete against that. So really good ult dump by Twisted Minds there. Like you don't obviously want to see that happen all the time, but I think that was a good solid decision to ult dump that. Because if you even remotely try to get too extravagant with your ultimates there, that's how you end up losing those team fights and like not being able to use your ult advantage to like your liking. So good play there. And it gives a little bit of early map control since they win the team fight so quickly. VP is going to have to be aggressive here with Sojourn. There it is. Yep, there's the ult. Unfortunately, I think they'll look at that in hindsight. They went kind of at the wrong time. The play was right. The timing of the team was a little bit off.
That is very challenging.
So, and that happens. Like I said, you know, it's just Overwatch sometimes.
Have play lines available to them.
They would like to get one more team fight here. This is also the same reason why Twisted Minds is very adamant right now about trying to deny the space here, because this will allow for, you know, a little bit more wiggle room on that type of stuff, right? So, we'll see.
Simple though is bowled over. Decent spot for course to play from here, but Virtus Pro just ignoring.
Now the pick by Funny Astro, I mean, unless they can trade out one more kill, they do make the sim comp. As you know, maybe I was wrong. Sim is actually solid on this map, apparently. I thought maybe there was like some other strategy that would work a little bit better, but I have seen sim played here, but I've more seen the May than the sim. But yeah, I mean, JWoo makes a sim swap also and makes a very similar great play, so I can't really say anything to that. That was just a good job.
Their sim look kind of fares though, right? We've seen JWoo kind of go to the sim at times. It hasn't looked
a really good job.
But I know here completely.
I'm gonna show you some May play in Stadium this week, probably. I've kind of finished playing, not playing, but like finding builds for some of the heroes I wanted to do. So yeah, I'm sure I'll be more open to that stuff as we go forward. Yep.
The question is, who's his intended target?
I don't know if Simple got anybody with that, actually. Going to be able to use the mobility to stay in the air to get backline pressure, but if they can recognize that Simple's out of position there, they get a free pick. Yep, and that's exactly what they do. That's one of the downsides of that. If you have a bad ultimate with a Yari, you're kind of in, right? Because a lot of the time you're trying to get in to follow up, and if you just fails, you're like, uh-oh. But they can still kind of all in if it's still a great beat there. Does miss Shockwave, but Shockwave won't have to worry about that, can just disengage or get killed there, but like, I don't think that'll be an issue. KSA is getting low. They're going to be able to eventually kind of grind him down. It's a little bit of a weird team fight because, like, it's not a bad, like, I don't know. The sim wall was a little bit ambitious, I guess you could say, but you're also trading out the wall, so it's not like a huge deal in comparison to what it could be in others. You know what I mean?
You're going to come back with this orbital ray, right? You're going to have the orbital ray to use inside of the opposing Kitsune rush.
We'll see.
As KSA takes a load of damage here, and they lose Simple. I mean, this is pretty bad now for TM.
Simple may have been too far forward in that engagement. JWoo, those really fragile to a Ramacho that could just swing in the front.
What a shot by JWoo right there.
His turret, though, posthumously.
I mean, VP is starting to slow them down a little bit here. 4v2, easy team fight win, and if I start to look at VP's ultimates, they have the ultimates to be able to kind of hold this aggressive like play. They need to make sure they're going to be very aggressive here and get their cooldowns out. Chad, the reason why a lot of the time you don't want to just stand around the card after you win a team fight is because you can do things like this. You get cooldowns out, right? Playing aggressive there gets TP out. You're like, they have TP'd. No, if they weren't poking that, they would have saved TP. They would have had a TP into the back line down. The point I'm making is that's why you need to be aggressive sometimes. A lot of people will win a team fight and stand on card and just be like, yep, now we wait. Being proactive and aggressive is a good way to get cooldowns out, and I think a lot of people underestimate that because you want to get the kill, but sometimes, you know, you get 3 Tracer Blinks out, that forces a recall. That's already better than having to force it 5 seconds later in front of you where you may not win the team fight in that same sense. So I think it is really important sometimes to make sure that they kind of look into that, and that's what they did. You're going to see Quartz ult here and actually going to go for this flank, which is a really good play. They could counter with a Ramatra ultimate, though, and try to take this team fight. Exactly what they do. And they're going to have beat also. I wouldn't doubt if they end up popping beat as they get a little bit closer here because now they're seeing the opportunity to get the kills. Exactly what they're going to do. They're going to turn back for the Ramatra because the Ramatra was kind of stuck in their cart and they need to basically pressure people off the card anyway. At the very worst, they force out the ult from KSA, which is exactly what they do. Simple gets ult off, but Gala's able to counter with that. And right now, it looks like VP is actually going to be able to hold him this second point, which is obvious, but I mean, which is awesome. So there you go. VP takes that second point hold. Obviously, has to have a good first point, but I would say you could argue that was a really, really, really good job.
Against Twisted Minds up until this point. But now Vistola busts out.
They know what they're going to do. I mean, if you want me to, if it makes you feel any better, I do have the information that they don't have, so it's a lot easier for me to call what's going to happen because I can see exactly what their ults are. And generally understanding how the domino effect of ults work allows for me to make those call outs a little bit more predictably. But I'm also just really smart, apparently, right? You know, I'll go with that one. Yeah, what can I say, chat? Go, man. Just, you know, what can I say? You know,
I mean, a reverse sweep here would be insane, right? I know just... they gotta get a good push here on offense early on. I'm curious if Twisted Minds has anything different planned here, comp-wise on the defense.
I'm just using the information I have in front of me, so it helps.
I really draw attention to this. The damage mitigation difference between Vistola and KSA is...
Why does the Zen skin in the Battle Pass have dog ears? There's actually a funny story to that. So I don't know it, but if you find out, let me know. Ever since you got a new PC, your cat has done what mine does and try to unplug the cords in the back. I love it, Bix. Isn't it great?
On that high ground. But I mean, think about how much 6,000 HP is in terms of like how many, you know, heroes that is. Virtus Pro in a good position now. On the attack side, no, they don't even need they just, really just need the one checkpoint here to get themselves sorted. Let's listen in.
Middle of playing, hey, I respect it.
Ilari, do you want to go sim?
Yeah.
Little bit of a suggestion, Binks. I don't know where your computer is. I flipped my computer so the cords are right next to me, so it's a lot easier for me to like pick up Sully if he's doing that. Okay, I'm gonna mute my mic. Listen in chat.
Yeah.
Ilari stop left, I think.
Shim Ilari the top.
Yeah. Just ignore them.
Yeah.
You want to ignore?
I can take it right top.
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, we can take it. Okay.
I'm ready.
Fight. Juno. Juno one side. Shim, throw. Can you get me? Run up for him.
Yeah. Ilari.
I need help. Ilari low, sir.
Ilari.
Drop.
Stay living.
Yeah. Just keep trading. We come back fast.
Yeah.
Little bit slow.
Down me. 소장.
Juno.
Max one.
Nice. You get me.
준호 going there.
Oh, you! Oh, no power into that. No power.
Oh, baby can't.
Oh, push more. Yeah.
Shim here. Shim close.
Wait, we're down a little bit.
Yeah, a pretty scrappy first fight there, Matt, but Virtus.pro calling that they're happy to take these trades. Favorable for them with that spawn advantage.
Yeah, it's VP.
Good first team fight there for Twisted Minds. I mean, not for Twisted Minds, for VP.
Slowly moving up the map. The TP in there from.
This is a neutral team fight still. Both teams don't have an ultimate.
Causing a little bit of chaos.
Dude, that TP is like a tank right now. Holy crap. Huge pick. That is an open pick. They're going to have to be aggressive with this.
Such a great job of being.
They have to be aggressive with this. This is their time to just get the point for free. Look at that TP. That's one of my TPs. It goes 3 feet. I'm going to be real with you, Chad. They might just take it here because they don't have speed boost or a TP back. Chad, did you just see what happened right there? Pistola just javelined simple out of the Ayari ultimate and canceled the ultimate in the air.
It looked like maybe
you didn't see it from the point of view, but you could hear the voice line cancel. Holy crap. What a start for VP. This is about as clean as it gets outside of a couple, obviously, picks they had on them during the fight. What a clean play there. So
getting caught pretty far forward in some of those earlier fights in here. There's a captive Sun that is either neutralized or just it's deployed on a bit of an odd timing anyway. When Twisted Minds look like they're still trying to regroup.
We'll see.
Dangerous game state now with Virtus.pro. 5 ultimates to spend. Twisted Minds have to go massive here.
Probably pop a Kasune here in a second.
It comes down to a key first pick, both Shockwave and Quartz.
Oh, wall first. Okay, I like that because that's going to back them up. It's a good play, actually. So you basically pop the wall to have them back up. What a shot! That was actually a one that I don't even think he meant to get.
That is reaction time, pure and simple. It's unclear how he saw Quartz there, but regardless, that shot rings true. And there is
I think VP's taking. I think going to map 5. I actually don't think there's a world where. Yeah, that's it. VP's taking the map. Holy crap! Will there be another Pistola video? There's 2. I mean, we try to do new players every time, but yeah, we're going to a map 5. Let's go, baby! That's what I'm talking about. We got a map 5
in this series, right? The first 2 maps just kind of.
This is what we need to see.
And then VP just stormed.
Let's go. I love it.
It does feel like though, Mitch, if you're if you're VP and your hope is to win this obviously and then go up and have a good fight against AwCrap, you need some type of Symmetra look, right? I think we see it there, on Survey.
You like Survasa?
Right?
I like Survasa too, though. I don't mind Survasa.
These other maps, right?
I think it's even better. I think Survasa and New Junk City are going to be actually pretty good maps. Like I like Survasa already. New Junk City is the chokes in that map are rough, and they're kind of fixing that, so which is nice. Here we go, chat.
All right, let's have a listen to Twisted Minds. Home ground match point for both sides. Let's see what they've got cooking.
Mute my mic.
Okay, I'm shooting for the right. They're all tanks, spam here, have no form. EMEA is fine.
Yeah, reloading. You're okay. You have speed. Press top now.
Come on, Kitty.
Wait, three behind.
Just put it one in no 10.
Nice. Press is still behind.
3 point, come. Back on top.
I'm.
No recon, Teresa, no recon. Quick lamp.
Nice. Press top right.
Let's go, more, guys, more.
Yeah, go shoot the spawn.
That was about as clean as you'd expect from Twisted
Wow.
Minds on King's
That
Road.
was about as good as it gets on first point. And then the call out you heard there was basically them saying to go up there and be aggressive because like you don't want to give up the map control or like you want to deny this space. Like it's very important to get past this choke. I've talked about it where like some teams will opt to just give up the point if they really have to. And you don't want to give up all that space. Again, this goes back to what I've talked about. You don't want to just sit there after a one team fight and all stack on cart and stay in there and go, we did it. Right? Granted that will happen, but you want to go be aggressive. You want to go and take map control, and you want to like look at what they've done. They got through the choke, which was the major issue here, right? Fire Cube, but thank you for the prime sub. Thank you, appreciate it. They got through the choke.
But you'll have that orbital rate, which will be massive when it comes through. Is Ant Matrix used here by Simple out in the streets, where everybody's going to scatter.
Yep.
They were trying to play an off angle and almost one clipped Yubi there. Forced him back to safety, but that Sim is still going to be very charged up at that front line. A legitimate threat in terms of damage. Quartz caught though inside a Vortex. And that is really going to slow things up now for Twisted Minds. They've only got frontline pressure. And I heard a bowl of shot
Huge pick by Fixa. And there you go. That might be what VP needs to stop them here. So there you go. Now they're going to be back to the choke that I was talking about. The good news is for Twisted Minds is they definitely run a sim teleporter strategy, so like holding this choke isn't as easy as it normally would be. And Shockwave kind of alluded to this where like normally it would be fine, but once you get the perk with the long like teleport range, it gets a lot more difficult. A lot more difficult. So it's one of those situations.
Extremely impactful. I mean, I guess Nano here, another great option, but I mean, Quartz takes out Jawu. That's massive.
Yeah, again, it's a Quartz pick that starts to fight off well for Twisted Minds. Fixer on an off angle. Kitsune rush from behind, and oh, he just has enough throughput there to keep Vistola alive. That haste on the cooldowns lets Vistola get back in an Nemesis form when he needs it. But Quartz is still a problem. Simple's never going to win that fight. Fixer gets the better of him with a kunai where it hurts.
You're the resident Ana main payload princess standing on card is what you do. Yeah, you know what you say? All right, I'll push card. Everybody else push up, okay? And then once you take that over, you're good to go.
He's going to commit an annihilation
you know?
to this fight where Twisted Minds are very short-handed.
See, now you set the tone. I mean, good job by Twisted Minds there to get that pick onto Vistola. Gonna have to reset this. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. Twisted Minds ult pool is looking really strong right now. I mean, VP might be able to bring this back, and you're seeing Vistola again play that mystery heroes of kind of going back and forth. That hasn't been necessarily a bad thing for VP, but the problem is Twisted Minds has both support ultimates while VP has nothing. So you guess you could get like an ultimate from Shockwave here from Freya, but I think that the ultimates alone might make that a little bit more difficult to get that value because you don't have the map control that you would normally have. So Shockwave's gonna have to go for a really sneaky play here, or just try to all in a tank with it. But as I say that, Vistola gets a huge javelin pick onto Simple. So what was going to be like a double ult, like support ult stack to take it, has now resulted in kind of a fair team fight. They do get Vistola down, though, and that was going to be the problem they have. So if Jawu can pop off here and maybe the possibility of a good pulse bomb, you know, there's a world where they could take this. And I mean, Fix is getting close to an ultimate, so with a couple more good heals or a couple headshots from Fixa, there's a chance they could run Kitsune here and then end up winning the team fight. Unfortunately, they get off the point, and that's that. But ended up being a lot closer than I expected it to be. Twisted Minds does have Nano still, so don't be surprised to see them Nano either the Freya, the Sim, or the Ramatra, and also the Juno. See, that opens up all the possibilities of the Nano, and no matter what, I sound smart. Fixa should probably launch this ultimate soon, otherwise they're going to end up losing Gala. There it is. You want to be able to take advantage of the map. This will give you a little bit of map control, kind of push them back. You're going to get counter-ulted during that, so it's important that if you do die here, you die on the cart. And that's exactly what they're going to be doing. Unfortunately, Vistola's kind of getting shredded by the Sim right now and is not as ideal as you would like to see.
That extra level of scrutiny.
KSA gets a free pick, and now they're in a very rough spot, I think.
And that means Twisted Minds have that tempo now to work with. Momentum built, bowler shot at the ready.
Yubi has ult. I don't know if we'll see the ult yet because Quartz could just ult the doorway, but yep, there's the ult. So Yubi pops Sim wall. Jawu hits one of the... Okay, I mean, that was sick. Now, that pulse bomb alone might get him back into it. Quartz is really low, but...
Doesn't matter though.
Yeah, just on enough. I mean, that pulse bomb looked good, and I thought they might have been able to get Quartz, because Quartz is at 1 HP, but the heals came in really quickly. And yeah, there's that half. So Twisted Minds has a really, really good attack, but I wouldn't count VP out just yet. Remember, all VP needs to do is finish with 1 second. I mean, you can finish with 0.1 seconds on the clock, and in doing so, what that will do... And excuse me. What that will do is at least give them another minute to attack, but you never know. We'll see what happens. Yep.
2 in a row. We're like worried, like, okay, what is the confidence level of Twisted Minds? They just kind of just run through them here on offense. Twisted Minds, just, I mean, you see Funny Astro that doesn't even die there. And look, KSA, they're doing a great job keeping him up as well. Only really Simple was the one getting punished, but it doesn't really result in any like positive, you know, fight wins there for VP.
See the stats, they are telling much of the story.
Need another overtime match? I agree.
Unleashed, but it's that 13 elimination.
Oh, I love good Overwatch, yeah.
I would suggest almost half of those are happening to start these fights. Those are picks that kind of invalidate ultimate advantage for Virtus Pro when they have
Sully is in
short-handed.
such a
It's been
deep sleep
problem.
right now. It's crazy.
Twisted Minds, though, their conversion in 4v5 fights has been very, very good. The less mobile Ana that Simple's been playing has sometimes been exploited, caught out maybe by a vortex slowing them up or something similar, and they've still been able to steamroll through. Funny Astro has been able to still provide the lion's share of the healing where it's been needed, and Quartz has been doubling down on this damage roll. Over to the Soj on the defense side now. Definitely feeling more comfortable at that extreme range. Virtus Pro.
He's dreaming about turkey.
I wonder if it's going to be a bit of a lethal cosplay here for Jay.
Lonnie barely could play in the laptop yesterday because he was just walking all over it to try to get turkey.
No. The EMEA, you know, they kind of
keep doing this until you get overstimulated. Just let me know.
Right? We don't have much variation at times here, but some top level players. They're gonna go with the D.Va. I think D.Va is like a pretty strong option, right? I mean, we see AwCrap kind of play D.Va.
Taking map control is what you want to do, chat. When you're playing King's Row, this is what you want to do, is go around the map. A lot of people kind of just want to run it down like mid and basically just go right to the point. I'm telling you that the use of high ground in King's Row could be very, very viable if they give it to you, of course. Tugo Tony, thank you for the 13 months of the Prime sub. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate that. But, I mean, this is looking like a really good start for VP also, and this is what we've seen the difference with VP is it felt like sometimes we would see VP get that first pick and then just sit there and be like, okay, we got a pick, let's play it safe. Instead, what they do is they go, hey, you know what? Let's get this dub. Also, Vistola's either going to swap to Orisa or go back to D.Va. Yep, see, I was totally right. Ramatra. It was a meme. It was a meme. It was a prank.
On King's Row as
do you wish your cat was here? Yes, Sully loves buckets, and we were going to see if he likes it, and he loves it. I mean, but we also, Sully just loves to be next to me at all times. Like, wherever I go, if I'm gone from a room for 5 minutes, Sully will join us, like, right away. Like, last night, right when I went downstairs after stream, he went laying on the couch when I watched some stuff before I went to bed. Then I went to bed, and he went in the room and slept on his bed on the ground. Like, he loves being around me, so.
Onto Astro right away.
Vixar right now is playing the DPS Kiriko.
Ooh, okay, Jay with a huge pick. I mean, I'm loving this aggression. And it looks like they're going to be able to kind of battle through this choke, which is going to be the toughest part here. Yeah, exactly what they're doing. Funny Astro's just sitting there. Good job by Jay-Woo to kind of just use really good movement and being smart with not getting traded on. Pretty clean team fight. That's exactly what you need for his VP, and you didn't have to use one ultimate for it. So, yep. What kind of cat is Sully? He is a Bengal.
And we see
he's a Bengal cat.
Perspective there, right?
Hey, buddy.
Oh,
big yawn. I saw that. Big yawn.
If VP is able to survive the damage that comes in, and then Twisted Minds is TPing back out, or, you know, getting on out, they're walking back into Jay-Woo on Tracer, right? Where there are a bunch of low targets, and he's able to just pick up.
Okay, so Shockwave just used ultimate, didn't get anybody with it, but that's fine. Now you're going to see multiple support ultimates coming out. I wouldn't doubt it if, yeah, there it is. But they're going to sim wall first. There's a huge stick by Jay-Woo. Even to get that stick off with a sim wall there is impressive in itself. Now you're going to see a Kitsune in about 3 seconds. It might be a Juno ultimate. I think Kitsune is more of like that win the team fight type of ultimate. Yep, there it is. This is going to allow for them to be aggressive. Really, really good job by Pistola right there. That was a really, really, really good Vortex. Needs to survive this, though, so don't be surprised to see them also use, there it is, the Juno ultimates. This is basically to be able to sustain the tanks, because since both of them are popping the ultimate, but the numbers advantage goes in favor of VP because they got that initial pick, and that results in a pretty clean take here. Unless we see Simple get one more pick here as Kiriko, that could make it interesting, but I think that was another clean second point out of VP. I do want to watch to see if they're going for it. They might give it one more try. Pistola does have the bug, which is the best bug ever. Do not fix this. I am okay with certain bugs in Overwatch. This is one of them. The T-pose and Ramatra. But clean first and second point there at a VP, giving them a huge time bank here. Twisted Minds only has Sojourn ultimate. What they're going to do is they're going to get the corner control here and try to lead off with it the moment they feel any pressure from VP. The idea is to kind of swing the team fight in their favor. That's exactly what they do. There it is, but Shockwave, again, gets an early pick on Yubi, and now Quartz is in a unique spot where, like, has to look for a pick opportunity, but can't really get anything going because of the early pick there. Once you get one pick, it's really hard to get that same pressure where all of that can go onto you. So, Now JWoo can get a little bit aggressive on the back line, start pressure on the supports. This is going to force Simple back to be able to have to keep the support alive, which is going to put more pressure on the tank. You're going to start seeing the tank HP go down now that the Ramatra ultimate is now, or the Ramatra Nemesis form is done. There it is. You can see his HP going down slowly. Yep, they trade out on the tank because there's nothing there because of the pressure from JWoo. This is why it's important as Tracer. Again, it's not about getting kills all the time as Tracer. It's about putting that pressure in the back line. That's what you're seeing. So with the pressure from the Tracer happening there, you basically enable your teammates to pop off in the rest of the way, and as long as you don't go down, that's fine. Again, it's not about the kills, it's about the pressure. Now they're going to take map control top left. They could be TP'd on out of there if they need to. I don't know if they will. JWoo's going to look for a pulse bomb right now, but they want to stuff these doors. Vistola's really close to ultimate. Fix is going to pop Kiriko ultimate here in about 3 seconds. Might be 4. There it is. There's the ultimate. Good pulse bomb at the doorway. This is going to allow for them to take map control in the middle. Now you get aggressive onto the tank, and then you have Vistola pop your ultimate right after to kind of take map control and make them get away from the point. Vistola gets the pick on the UB right there. Force does trade on the Shockwave, which is a really good pick. Now they're going to go to the backline. Pressure is going to force Simple into the team. Kayse is not close to ultimate, so you're going to be able to go there. Quartz does get 2 trades in the back line, which might make this difficult. Quartz is getting low. Quartz is 1 HP in the air right now. Looking at the HP, Yubi is going to be the next target because he's alive on... But it looks like they might have had enough time here. This might have been a good job, or enough of a good job here, and now they're going to take the team fight. So, thankfully for Twisted Minds there, they were able to stop the snowball because that was going to be a good team fight. I think this should be a reset here unless something crazy happens. Yep. He's going to go to the neutral. They're going to wait. JWoo is still putting enough pressure on the backline to basically justify staying there, and they've actually managed to buy themselves enough time to basically keep them at bay.
And by killing Vistola, I think that's why Twisted Minds decides not to invest this orbital ray in.
Funny Astro, you're going to see 2 Juno ultimates come out here in a second, as long as nobody gets picked off early, which sometimes you'll see the Freya get like a random pick. It's crazy to me that Twisted Minds had a better time. What a stick. That's a guaranteed kill because you can't really TP into that. You need to stay near the point. Now you put a lot of pressure on your backline, but you're going to get the double Juno ultimate. Unfortunately, it might have been a little bit late. And that was the one, kind of the first timing mistake I've seen out of VP for that, where they lost their tank because of waiting on it when they already had it in play. But I also understand not using it. Like it's like one of those hindsight moments where like as the person spectating can be like, oh, why didn't they use that earlier? Right? It's all hindsight. We have more information than they do. So Twisted Minds is starting to slow them down a little bit here now, which is pretty important.
And this is now starting to get dangerous. That was VP's ult bank getting burnt through.
Yeah, this is looking rough now, right? That's bola shot used there as well.
Okay,
ray.
It's finally settled.
Bola shot here.
Now we're chilling.
For Twisted Minds, and you're also going to have their Kitsune rush. You're going to get like below a minute.
No ultimates yet. Twisted Minds is going to pop Kiriko ultimate. The question is, do they use it aggressively or do they... Oh, no, aggressively. I was going to say, well, that answers the question right away. The moment you lose someone there, you have to be aggressive. And this is the correct play. You can't like not... Simple's getting really aggro though. This might get him killed. Yep, I was going to say. I know the idea there. So the idea behind that, chat, just to give you an... Oh, JWoo. The idea there is basically you need to trade kills, so be aggressive with your ult, go backline. As they're distracted by the disengage, get a kill, right? Instead, it went really well. JWoo getting kills. This actually, unless something crazy happens, this should go in favor of VP. And guess what, chat? We got ourselves a match. Let's go, baby. Woo! Let's go. That's what we love to see. We got ourselves a game, chat. Let's go.
Minutes on that final couple of meters.
I love it.
That's huge, right? I mean, VP, they get to that end goal, like, about like 3:40 on the clock, right? And then Twisted Minds ends up winning that fight, wins a second consecutive fight, and gets that time bank all the way down to 1:09. I mean, that is a huge defensive stand there for Twisted Minds, where VP was looking like they were going to set a better time and they were going to keep rolling on offense, but Twisted Minds clutches up.
There's 2 things at play here. JWoo's playing Tracer and is pretty uncontested. No one's bothering to look at him. 3 deaths. But because Yubi is playing the sim, KSA has a massive advantage in the front line. It's very hard for Vistola to stay alive. 7 deaths is really not too bad at all, considering the pressure that he was under. But Virtus.pro need the staying power of their tank on the cart to sort of finish the map. So while they have great flank pressure and they're killing the enemy DPSs constantly,
so when these 2 players always a dogfight, I know. So it's just like a back and forth battle.
Vistola has to either double back for healing.
Here we go, chat. I'm ready.
Die on the cart.
Important map here for VP. This is a great series, though. Obviously, Twisted Minds was able to have a better time bank, but sometimes, chat, believe it or not, with time banks,
I liked this look, right?
Believe it or not, with the time banks, and this is something that I've noticed,
cause a lot of problems.
Is
this is an interesting.
How do I explain this?
It's going to be simple.
The team with the less time, if they have a good start, end up having the advantage because of the overtime spawns happening quicker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the idea is to give yourself, like you said, a Tracer answer without forcing yourself to
All right, so we'll see how this last team fight went really well. Let's see if the strategy changes. Vistola taking the high ground. They're taking away this part of the map. This basically denies the space and allows you to go around them. I think what we're seeing differently here, and that's exactly what it is. Twisted Minds tried to flip the map a little bit quicker, right? Like tried to flip the map a little bit quicker this time, so that way all this setup time doesn't work. But Simple is actually out of position now. They might get all in the brig. Don't be surprised to see a brig trade. Good job there by Twisted Minds. This is a 2-team fight situation, so VP should be able to get back in time.
For like the D.Va to get up there and try and make.
Oh yeah, they have no problem. They'll be fine.
But on the other side, because like you just
they've lost that initial map control you want. Oh, what a shot by Quartz. That could be a map and series winner right there because you need to get to point, right? And the only person who can really tap the point for you is your Tracer. Yep, and I think that's going to give this point to Twisted Minds. That pick on Tracer was this part. So next up, 2 minutes and 46 seconds for VP to try to hold. Watch! We have seen this before. We have seen a 6 map before from VP. Actually, was it VP Twisted Minds that went to map 6 last time? I'm trying to remember. Or was it AQ? Was it Twisted Minds VP?
An idea that VP was going to come out playing that D.Va. Right.
Where it was a midtown draw and it was a midtown draw. Yeah, it was a midtown draw. And it went to a 6 map. So, I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle here, but, you know, if VP can win the first 2 team fights, they're going to have an ult advantage, and I think at that point, anything can happen, right? So, on paper, who should win? Based off of just the time alone, I mean, you're going to have to give it to Twisted Minds, right? But if VP has a really good start here, I can see them holding this, too. I mean, they need to win the first 2 team fights. If they don't, obviously they lose. I don't even think they can trade. I'm not even joking. I don't even think they can trade this. I don't think they could. This is not going to be a situation where you lose 2 players and win a team fight. I think if they do, you're going to get TP'd on, lose map control, and they just don't have the luxury to be able to do that, especially without the... Yeah, and Jay was popping off. I agree. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. You never know. Am I seeing one? There's no way they're going Rhine, right? This must be a meme, yeah, I was going to say. I mean, we did see Twisted Minds play Rhine, so maybe they were just like showing Rhine at the door for fun. All right, here we go. Ideally for VP, Twisted Minds tries a TP play and you shut it down right away, which means that you'll get a bunch of ult charge for your team, and then Twisted Minds won't get anything. Right? Donut, thank you for the 4 months of that Prime stuff. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks for the 4 months.
Straight in there as KSA will get purchased on the point. Is some shots going to Shockwave. Fortunate to be able to live.
Vistola, they're all in Vistola, but KSA goes down. That's a huge start. It's exactly what they need. They're going to try to disengage. This is where you clean up the kills. This is where you get your ult charge and clean up the kills. You're also going to delay them. You could not lose anybody, though. We talked about this. There's no way they can lose or get traded out on. Good job by Twisted Minds to get out of there, because if they get like staggered out after that, that's another 30 seconds off the clock and more ult charge in favor of VP. But exactly the team fight you're looking for to start this.
Split off from the rest of the team. You're going to have that immortality field.
There's the TP. Kind of slow him down a little bit. Vistola has high ground. Vistola takes a little bit of damage. Get a good May wall there on the KSA. And they have an angle with Shockwave right now where Shockwave can kind of slowly grind him down. The only downside here is if he gets flanked on, which I think might not happen. Killing the TP is huge here because now you're going to force the Sim to be stuck up there and there's no escape. I'm going to be honest with you, their strategy is just all in KSA. Yep. Ooh, I mean, Shockwave's hitting shots, but Quartz, they're both the Freyas are just farming right now. But here's the window. This is going to be huge. They have to be able to survive this. Jay Wu goes down. Not what you want to see right there. The window is a little bit ahead of time. Shockwave's going to go down here too in a second with that ultimate timing. Shockwave actually survives that. Fix it, pops ultimate, but their HP's getting too low, and I think Twisted Minds has managed to win the map, the series, and they move on to the finals in what you could call a great lower bracket finals. Both teams played it well. Don't worry, both teams have qualified for LAN, so this isn't an issue of one of these teams is now out. But it definitely puts VP in an interesting spot going to the LAN, because now you're going to be a little bit lower seed going into some maybe stacked groups, especially with what we've seen from some of the other teams that have already qualified. So great series. They're probably going to take about a 10-minute break in between there. Believe it or not, Chad, I'm going to go get a coffee. You're probably saying, you need a coffee? You didn't shut up that whole time. I almost had a mute. That's me at my best. I'll be right back.
So a slight gap.
Here we go.
Between those two with
EMEA Stage 2 Grand Finals.
That'll force Lab to
Lock in.
has been great on the Sojourn, forces him either onto the Freya or the Cassidy. It'll be the Freya here to open things up for AwCrap.
So Freya, Cass, Diva versus Ramatra. I always see this battle right here.
Just Ramatra.
Here we go.
Last time they took a fight here, it was the TPs that. So that means AwCrap get priority.
I'm ready. Okay, there we go.
First of the game.
Yeah, tactical pause. I don't think they have that in Overwatch, do they? You could probably do it like in between games, maybe, but
the lineup from AwCrap probably very expected at this stage, though, from Twisted Minds. So they're going to play from the low ground here. That's just
wow, what a boop.
Nice.
Yeah, that was huge. Dr. Thrax, thanks for the 60 months of the Tier 1. Thank you. Thank you.
Now at least TM, though, can flip the point first. They have that control. Now, AwCrap's style normally requires them to give up that point control and swoop in on some individuals later on. So it does mean that these rounds are pretty close.
Yeah, that's the Immortality field out already, so you get that.
Nice shot by Quartz.
I think it's time for AwCrap to potentially up the pace.
Well, they try to, but Felix is kind of the engine room behind that burst of speed.
Good start for Twisted Minds.
By Quartz, who deals with Ziad alongside Funny Astro following that.
Do you see a tank swap or still Diva?
It's an uphill battle sometimes with this Diva composition. Now they also don't have, you know, a great position to play from.
Okay, so for Twisted Minds here, they have a really good start. Now they're going to have a window that's going to be right from the get-go here. A really good pick on the lab to late there, so it's going to delay a little bit of time. But don't be surprised to see a really aggressive window happen at one point. And the idea here is to really force ultimates and like an overreaction from AQ. And that's exactly what they're going for. They're going for a window, a bit of an off-angle window. Doesn't get the value they were looking for because of a great TP approach. So now Landon's going to be able to pop Kitsune here in about probably 4 seconds, so even sooner than that. I love that. Sometimes I give teams a little bit of wiggle room. Good job there. Now you get the high noon play from Quartz. This is going to allow a little bit of downtime. Then a counter beat from Funny Astro goes in. Gets a little bit of damage there. Remember, you don't need to get a kill with high noon sometimes. You just need to be able to do enough damage to force out other stuff. So both teams pop a lot of their ultimates. They're going to have a Diva ult. KSA does go down there early, so it doesn't have ultimate there. Now it's going to be about staggering on the point and delay as much time as you can. This is a team fight win for AQ, and obviously that's where they're going to go forward there. So bit of a regroup now, but going to get into about 75%, 74%. Not a bad start for Twisted Minds, and a really good retake there from AQ. Twisted Minds does have a Ramatra ultimate, so look for maybe a TP approach with a Ramatra ult checkmate. Does have a good ultimate to kind of prevent some of the early Ramatra damage you could have there. Diva ultimate too, so you have a second life on that one. So don't be surprised to see. Don't be surprised to see Twisted Minds try to be really aggro here to force out those ultimates, unless they're waiting on Yubi to get Simwell. That could also be it. So you slow play for like probably 5-10%, and then you go in, and then you go, or you just be aggressive with your ult. Looks like their approach was to force out an early ult. Yep, that was their play. There's two approaches to that, chat. And the approach is, one is you go in and you just pop your ults and get them to pop ults back, or you just try to force like one dry fight to be able to build up the rest of your ultimates. And I would say Twisted Minds did a pretty good job of that. The only downside of this, and probably the unpredictable moment with that, is that they don't. I don't think they're going to expect this Kitsune. I think they might track it, but there's a chance they don't, and they're going to pop their ults. They're going to get Kitsune on. Or Lab is just going to get everybody there, and then they fall over. See, definitely predicted that one. Holy crap, what a play.
All too easy for Lab to send a couple of extra bolts in. Benefit from that explosive damage, and now we have an even game on our hands. Funny Astro, whose beat would have been critical in that fight, wasn't quite ready to let it go.
What a play.
So now they can combine it with the Annihilation, but there's always the question of how AwCrap intend to take that high ground. Or maybe they force a fight on the point here.
There goes the wall, there goes the ult, backing away to the other side. They do trade out, So they get a kill, and now it looks like Twisted Minds is going to be able to take this back, because even with that Kitsune, they get the early picks. Oh, wow.
Too slow to protect him. Either way, TM spend heavily on this fight. Win it out as AwCrap get to 90.
I mean, Quartz has a high noon. That's going to allow for the beat play to be not as good, but this is going to be just a beat in, go for it, send them back to spawn type of situation, I think. I think they're going to go right back to spawn.
We'll see from Twisted Minds. How do you get a hold here, right? Sound barrier. You're gonna have to.
Yeah, just be aggressive with beat. Yep, they know it. Here's the counter with the high noon. This is what we had just talked about. With the high noon, we'll be able to counter the beat. Now it's just a neutral fight. I think AQ is gonna. If this fight goes for too long, and I think Twisted Minds recognizes this, AQ is just gonna win. So don't be surprised to see a really aggressive TP play. And if they lose it, they lose it. They just know they don't have the ultimates to be able to deal with this. And they're not close enough to ultimates to be able to slow it down enough to be able to build their own. So they're waiting for a TP time in play. I don't know when, but expect to see a TP go in their backline ASAP. Oh, wow. Yep, they did get the wall off, but I mean, not even get the wall off. Yeah, that's it. I think it was a little bit too safe, and I'm going to assume that they probably thought the Freya ultimate was there a little bit sooner, so they didn't want to get a TP into a Freya ult, but I think that should be the first round. But again, just like we've seen in their previous matches, and 99% to 99% round 1, this should set the tone for the rest of the match.
Courts can't get close enough, and AwCrap take a first close round.
Dude, some of these bola shots from Lambda are just
Did AQ ban
crazy,
Rein just to
right?
protect a tank pick?
Grouping
Yeah, they didn't want to have
everything,
Rein,
the
because since
immortality
Rein has
field
such a
saves
large
bunch of
hitbox,
them,
they
but
wanted to
they're
kind of
so
make that
low
picture a lot better for
Dion,
the selfie.
just gets in the mix there with Checkmate.
I had to do that,
He's
Jack, because it was
charged
spelled
up on the
PIC.
sim. There's no way you're keeping those players alive. So the Freya paying off there in round number 1 for AwCrap.
Pretty astonishing showing.
We play nothing but Stadium, so it's weird seeing Freya not be... Freya's really strong. I mean, they buffed Freya recently, too, so... You know in this chat if you misspell anything. All right, I'm more disappointed that Viking wasn't on that right away, chat, you know?
Out of control.
That's the more disappointing part there. No, they're not over on that one, Lex. So right now you're going to be having the esports drops prioritized because it only goes till today. And then the loot box drops will pick up after that. That's how it works with that, because there's 2 drops going at the same time. You know?
It seems like Courts, I mean, really, we saw a little bit maybe in the last series is they do get Checkmate here, so good start. Really just doesn't seem to, can play the Freya at times, but seems way more...
Good start for Twisted Minds here. Should be a pretty free point. Yeah. They're just going to have to reset that and go again.
It's a great start for TM.
You definitely feel like you're going to look at a dog.
Why are they playing again? This is the grand finals, that's why.
Both teams are going to be at some risk when those divas come on in. Really comes about momentum. As these teams try and punish a rather fragile frontlining DPS. Lambda goes over towards the Mei here. Trying to, again, catch people out. Not the Diva so much as maybe a Sim or someone similar. Ziad Decisive very early on, and now Courts are starting to hit those shots.
I just want to point out to you, chat, right now, my phone, Lonnie keeps texting me, and I'm like, okay, what's the text? I look at it. Lonnie got a picture of Arnie, where it looks like he's serving, like, drinks at a bar, and now she's editing in pictures of Arnie at the bar serving drinks.
In terms of the Cassidy, right? The Soj
That's what Lonnie's doing.
That is what Lambda's really been phenomenal on. And now forced over to a Mei, right? This is a little bit of a different look here. It worked.
Am I calling the win? This I'm not sure.
Reinhardt, right? But with that Diva in the mix, I don't think it's as effective.
Definitely not the best catch tool against the mobile tank. Here's the TP4 from AwCrap. Symbol defense.
Really good ultimates here by Twisted Minds. Obviously, they, like with KSA going down low HP there, you can just basically use your ultimate anyway to keep that. Ends up getting a kill on Landon, which is a huge surprise. Which means that right now Twisted Minds is actually taking a bit of a team fight win there that wasn't quite predicted to be an easy team fight. They already know Labdra's close to Mei health anyway, so they're staggering Labdra as much as possible there. But if you look, Twisted Minds still has some extra ultimates there, so we'll see. Ooh, congrats on a good loot box there. Let's go.
Obviously close to consistent damage output that Twisted Minds is able to have with that Cassidy in the mix. So you're starting to see some of these early bans coming into effect. It's the first
show you the pictures. I can maybe in between the maps I can show you the original
but now as we move throughout the map, this is going to start to look really good for the cast.
Here's the push up again. Mei wall that really just denies reinforcements.
First time being able to catch a stream. Welcome. Hope you enjoy.
Out the Diva. Course into the middle of the map. Deadeye ready. Shut down though by Defense Matrix. Ziad quick on that right click, and here's that sim wall now in play. Course is trying to navigate it as best he can, and all of that Katsia using that to allow them to push up and isolate KSA on the fringes of the map. He stands still, and there's a sound barrier opportunity for Funny. Astra should have been required, and Kellex is
I mean, Quartz with a huge pick on the Kellex. I mean, yes, AQ has Mael coming up here, but if they just all in the Mei's going to be forced to use it in a not advantageous spot. I'm going to be able to demek Diva, though, so that ends up being a pretty good consolation for that Mael. But they end up like trading out on both Mei's here, and I actually think this might be a very clean round for Twisted Minds here to go to round 3, if I'm correct, right?
Messy stuff, but Twisted Minds are back in the hot seat.
I mean, Court's just dominating.
Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be a Twisted Minds round on to round 3. Holy crap, Chad! These are some good games.
Here on OWCS, dude. I mean, this Cassidy.
This is the original picture, by the way, Chad. While we're in between rounds.
Play the Mei here on this final map. Maybe this is slightly better with the Freya for some of the high ground, but should still be pretty solid for the cast.
Especially if you have that point control.
Now she's just photoshopping that picture or using whatever you use
if you're playing up on the platform, but we're seeing Courts do very well, really benefiting from the Symmetra walls that Yubi's been throwing up. Allows him to close the gap, get back into that nice little mid-range that Cassidy likes to occupy.
Oh yeah, or Arnie's the one getting the drinks or something. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It was definitely around that Cassidy highlighted.
I think that's what it is. Is Arnie's at the...
Good looks overall. making this a real game. That's just what we were hoping for. And I love that we get to see these teams throw down in sort of somewhat mirrored compositions here. It's all about that communication when it comes to setting up good sim TPs.
Okay, here we go.
Little boop there to disrupt Twisted Minds as they stake their claim to the high ground early behind a TP.
Really plush? That's awesome. I love that.
But AwCrap have the point of difference that the sim TP is still available to them.
What do you think about rolling
All right,
with the Mei here
round 3. I mean, this is what we expect from this matchup. Remember, first to 4 in this one. The question of who do I think is going to win it, I don't know. It's hard to predict. I mean, if you go just based off of yesterday's results, you're going to say AQ probably can take this match. But, like, I just don't know who that's going to be because I think these teams play so even. It's kind of like that. You know how, like, you always see, like, Falcons and CR actually, well, outside of this recent stage, like, Falcons and CR, you could never predict it. I think that's kind of where you're at with Twisted Minds and AQ. Sometimes it's just, like, the results can vary. So
healing throughput, and sometimes it's not enough when you've got divas in your face. Simple here, exemplifying this now is it's been very.
Good start for AQ. They get the point. Both teams are kind of just like in this like neutral where they have ultimates. Funny Astro might try to counter this, but I don't think that's the correct play. Yep. That was a good job by Twisted Minds to not counter with beat because they know they have a beat advantage now. The only problem is that AQ also has a lot of ultimates, and if they're trying to track ults, it's hard to predict where the Symmetra's at. So. They might try to pop beat here to be aggro, or they might wait for Landon to pop Kitsune because they expect them to know that, and then pop their ultimates, both of them at the same time to counter. I don't quite know yet, so...
And they come again, this time Quartz, knowing much of this damage will be mitigated by Defense Matrix, knows he's got to do it anyway.
We'll have to see.
Maybe we'll throw it up for AwCrap here. Buys them the ability to get back to this high ground where Quartz does not have
high noon teleport play. Yeah, there's the wall. They pop their own Kitsune, but the problem is now Landon can pop that, so now they're going to have to counter beat in about 3 seconds if they're going to try to survive and win this team fight. Maybe now's the beat. Yep, the ultimate's done, so now you can counter with beat. You know you have the timing. There it is. You go in. Lambda's going to be like kind of the key to this fight. If you end up getting a good Mei wall off, I mean a Mei ult off, I think that's going to really dictate if they win it or not. So there's the Mei ult. Doesn't seem to get anybody. Nope, because of the line of sight on the right side, so KSA's able to get back into the suit, and this should be a team fight flip for Twisted Minds if I'm correct. And it is. Yep. So pretty much played out how I thought it would. And one of the things that Twisted Minds actually benefits from that too is they actually save their sim wall. So there's a chance they can use sim wall coming up too, which would be really nice.
UB holds on to this wall. And you're actually
that'll be pretty sweet to see.
Go over and play the Freya. So with that Mei, right? Maybe you feel like you're just kind of getting run down, you know, with the Cassidy, like the Mei.
Okay, here we go.
Just kind of getting in your face with the TP. Where now you can gain this verticality.
Lambda with a huge pick on the course. I mean, that is what you don't want to see. UB's forced to pop ultimate right away because of that pick. Yep. Pretty much just try to like play defensively for a little bit. You're getting close to your Kitsune, so you can still try to win this team fight. Don't overfeed it. Force out cooldowns and TP the other way to flip the map, and then come back with Kitsune in about 3, 2. Wait for this D.Va ultimate to make sure nobody dies. Now pop the ultimate. Ends up getting remacked on. So actually waited perfectly on the D.Va ult and then gets remacked on and then lose the team fight. This might be the turn that AQ needs to win this whole game because they just basically gave up their support ultimate for that situation. So now AQ kind of is in the driver's seat here where you can basically use Kitsune beat. You can ult stack, and the only thing Twisted Minds really has is beat. So on paper, AQ should win this, but maybe an early pick from Twisted Minds could make this fight go the other way, but I think AQ's is going to play aggro with Kitsune at the moment they have the opportunity. It's last team fight now. Be aggressive.
Biding their time.
We'll see.
Know the need to win this fight and the next. Maybe hoping to build a bowler shot here for Quartz, but tough to poke down.
Here we go. Ult stack time. Let's see that ult dump in a second. There's a Kitsune. Now they're going to counter beat. There's the beat. Now there's the counter beat to the beat. D.Va's going to get demech due to the HP. Just going to basically, D.Va's going to fall over. Nothing D.Va can do about that. Quartz has ult, but I don't think it will be enough to make a play happen, and there should be a map 1 victory for AQ, which, you know, a good match, a good round. Both teams had their dominant moments. We're on to the next map, and with that, I'm going to go to the bathroom, so I'll be right back a second, chat. Hit that follow button if you haven't. Hope you're all enjoying, and we'll continue on with the cast. Hopefully I don't lose my voice.
Like Sima on the D.Va head-to-head, like I talked about, you know, it's not like you can't do it, right? I think that's just where you have the biggest advantage if you're AwCrap. Get
all right.
the D.Va, get them try like playing like an Orisa or something along those lines, and
King's Row.
I think you're in a good spot if you're AwCrap.
It's another feature I think of, you know, King's Row being picked so early in the series when that Ramatra ban is still.
Yeah, you don't normally see it like early in the series, right?
In hindsight, they're probably not too worried about it. Twisted Minds could have waited.
They're very interested, like, yeah, you don't expect it. So May ban, Ramatra ban, so good bans from both sides. Good bans from both sides, you know what I mean?
Forced a little bit here, but it leaves AwCrap with a clean slate in terms of bans in that
Here we
they have
go.
used up the Ramatra. So Diva, Mirror, it's going to be Kiriko, Lucio, backlines. In fact, across the board, mirror compositions for our top EMEA teams.
Here we go.
And we'll just get a chance to see who plays this style better, right? Both these teams have kind of made their money throughout this stage playing these sim-based setups. As you know, I think one of the main, just with the Diva in play, that's where AwCrap has really looked at their best. As we'll see if TM can kind of match that.
Well, a checkmate is in Timbuktu, but I don't know how he got there. That is like a TP4 to something similar. That's a pretty big misstep there by AwCrap. They now really lack the stopping.
I was going to say, Twisted Minds is going to basically be able to take the map control now, so that's a pretty good start for Twisted Minds. I mean,
without checkmate,
they might still be able to disengage out, so I'm not going to call the team fight yet. Now I'm definitely not going to call the team fight.
Yubi steps up a little bit too far. I mean, these sims, you just, you know, one or two
sims
shots.
are, both sims got picked off there, but then checkmate gets picked off again. Yeah, I think AwCrap is going to actually take this.
Great conversion there for AwCrap on a short-handed engagement.
So, a little bit of a rough start, but then they ended up coming back and doing a good job there. So, you know what I mean?
Labdor is looking absolutely lethal if he's given the space to breathe.
And I was like, gonna say, I mean, man, like, is Labda one of the most improved players? But like, really, it's just you're seeing him play heroes that we like traditionally haven't seen him play. But he's been phenomenal once he's been putting on the hit scan.
Good ultimate there.
Nice
okay, let me lock in right now. 2 more games today, yes. After this one. So they end up using beat here, and the problem they run into though is that they actually end up losing that now. So Funny Astro could pop beat right now to counter, but they also lose too. So it's a bit of an interesting like back and forth strategy right now because I feel like with the Lucio there, you would want to use beat aggressively after that instead of losing quartz. But I guess you were maybe saving it for the Sojourn ultimate. But I think the Sojourn ultimate will be able to get some value. But ends up working out anyway. So it was a good decision by Funny Astro, and it looks like they're going to be able to take the point. And we're just like that, they're good to go. They're good to go. You know what I mean?
On the lack of the bulky body, so Twisted Minds eventually tooth and nail fight for that first point.
And like you discussed, it's just Ziyad not having the
not
mech,
bad.
Right?
Keep it rolling.
Back in the mech and get towards that point. It's a little bit different, but Twisted Minds, the battle is long, but they're able to come out on top. Now you've got this overclock wall, man. They might be able to run it up through the second part of the map.
They want to take an early team fight here, and for the Diva, this is where it gets a little bit like.
Control it with a tank like Diva, but Ziyad's still going to step up and plug the gap, so to speak.
It's a little bit worse here for like holding this choke, but I mean, guess what? It's Diva versus Diva. Like it's not as much of an issue because of the Ramatra ban. So now we're gonna see a. I have no clue. There's buttons and some stuff there. Chad, did you know that when you if you look at the Diva ult, the color of the Diva ult explosion depends if you're in range or not? Yeah, we watched a TikTok on that. Is tomorrow going to be another stream? I'm going to be honest with you. I might take tomorrow off.
That's going to be something we're tracking, Matt. Is those sims
I might take tomorrow off.
away from the defensive architecture and punish for it.
We've been going pretty hard, but I also don't know what tomorrow morning me will want to do. So I say that now, and then I wake up tomorrow, I'm like, feeling great! 7 a.m., let's hop on for 10 hours. You know, I just don't know. And I am taking next weekend off because it's Lottie and I's 1-year wedding anniversary. So I'm going to be not at my PC. We're just going to be going to chill. So I might stream Monday just because of that. I have no idea. But we'll see. Good counter beat here from Twisted Minds. Good counter beat from AQ. This is just going to be a solid team fight. Both Divas are kind of in this very fun spot where they have to basically use some ultimates, get back in their suit, that is. Landon does get a huge pick on a Yubi, but there's a chance they could trade here. It depends. With Lab to have an ultimate, I think this might be a bit of a hold. But Funny Astro picks up a pick there too in the back line, and they also get Landon. So what a stick though, huge. That right there is why Sojourn's number 3 on that thing we watched earlier with the perks. Quartz picks up a pick, but it's enough on the trade. So there you go.
I thought Quartz maybe.
First of all, I did not promise that at all with Junkrat. Someone random in the chat was like, I think it was Chex asking that.
It looks like Yubi back here as well.
Why is it a straight mirror match? Just the comps the way they work with the way the hero bans are. I mean, sometimes hero bans will still sometimes lead to mirror matches.
Now Quartz's options are significantly limited, such that there has to be a full disengage.
So we'll see.
The clock burns down further. Under 2 minutes, the Labda takes a pretty aggressive stance, but that's I guess facilitated by Ziad pushing up onto that right side.
Twisted Minds is 1, 2, 3, 4 ultimates. They just have no ults right now. They're all close to ultimates, but they don't have any ults. They do demech Diva them. This is going to be a huge part now because now they're going to be able to get a little bit more aggressive. Checkmate is able to get a pick right there onto Yubi, so it's a trade out. But Quartz gets the huge pick on the landing, which is the one ultimate that they could have really survived with. They're going to have Beat coming up, but the Beat isn't going to be promised here because obviously there's a ton of damage happening. Kellex won't be able to get it in time, and that should be a Twisted Minds flip. Yep. So there you go. Twisted Minds takes the point. A little bit under 3 minutes, but you could argue that's a pretty good amount of time. You don't even argue. That's a pretty good amount of time going into the third point. Usually that sweet spot is around 3.5 minutes because it creates an extra team fight, but it's still good. Now Twisted Minds has a bunch of ultimates. Expect one of those, like, you know, we've seen a lot of mirror ults. Expect AQ and Twisted Minds here to kind of mirror their ultimates and kind of just go all alt dump here. The approach we've seen so far is they lead off with Kitsune, right, and then save the beat. There's a Kitsune going in aggressively. They're going to try to disengage it. They're probably going to have to Diva ult this because the planned strategy is to actually counter with a Kitsune right now. They're going to go with the Kitsune in about 3 seconds. This will allow them to go back. You're going to probably see the same disengage from AQ. Never mind, they actually surprised them with an aggressive play, but unfortunately for AQ at that moment, though, you can't like deal with the stack double ultimates from the support, so you have to try to get the kills in the backline. But so far, it's been pretty successful. They managed to get 2 in the backline, trade out, and the trades are going in favor of an AQ who did not have the ult advantage to begin with. So I'm actually kind of cool to see that type of play. And AQ wins it pretty cleanly at that too. Twisted Minds still does have 2 really good ultimates coming up. AQ has 1 good ultimate, possibly 2 if Sojourn gets a quick one.
Yeah, and I think they look much better, AwCrap, when they're just upping the pace and not trying to play some of this neutral. That's where I think they kind of end up losing out on some of the damage, and then Ziad ends up getting demaxed.
I mean, I'm just honestly, Cole, I'm just looking for a good matchup, to be honest with you.
It's going to be the checkmate sim wall.
Quartz has ultimate.
As they back them up all the way.
It's utterly countered. Like, there's no answer to it. And again, the same is available to Twisted Minds, but they might need to use their sim wall more aggressively to give them some extra space. Even though they know there is an overclock that they want to counter. Yubi's got to stay alive, and as I said, offensive. They're
going to kill the TP. They're going to be moving in aggressively into the back line. Good trade. Not trade, I mean good pick on the back line pressure. Now they kind of have to back up a little bit. Diva might get one. Yep, Diva. Diva was kind of stuck there, couldn't get out, so ends up being a really good Diva.
There's just no option for him. He had no choice. And that is a gut punch to Twisted Minds.
Gotta give credit here. I mean, every time it looks like Twisted Minds is going to get a bit of an advantage or have some type of advantage, AQ just counters back and takes the fight. So, I mean, Twisted Minds has Kitsune, so that Kitsune could lead to some good things. But we'll see.
Now in a crucial situation, able to get KSA out of mech. Typically, you kind of look at that self-destruct, right, as just the ability to get a new mech back, but Ziad making nice work of it.
Go time for Twisted Minds. That is a very aggressive TP forward.
Kitsune is out, but like, I love how this map is just flipped. Like, you would think that AQ is the one attacking right now, and it's not. Both Lucios have beat coming up here, so this is going to be huge, but as I say that, they get the pick onto Funny Astro, and honestly, like, this is probably going to go in favor of AQ. That pick alone, maybe if Diva gets ult in time, nope, 98%. Came down to, like, it's crazy because it came down to, like, it literally came down to, like, 2% on each of those ultimates. So, excellently played, excellent job, and that's that. So, yep.
And I mean, that would just be a little bit of a gut punch, right? If Twisted Minds ends up dropping this one to
good half there, though.
Yeah, I think it would just be AwCrap just showing what type of level they're currently at here in EMEA. We take a look at some of the stats. Is you know, checkmate on that sim. I mean, look at that 89.
Let's see what happens next
compared to UB 62. And then in terms of like that hit scan, right? Quartz, you know, 9,300. Like you know, he's getting the better of Lambda at the moment, but a big difference in terms of the sim damage.
For me, it's the number in the death column for Ziad, Matt. That's telling so much of the story to me.
How's it going?
A singular death over the course of a very, very scrappy first half of this map. Great showing. I mean, Checkmate and UB both dying 7 times. They are playing ultra aggressively. They are solo TPing into each other's backlines and trying to find picks. I remember Checkmate being able to do it in the second phase of the map, just like orbing UB without him expecting it.
Did they...
Let's listen to AwCrap now. Of course, they've got to be
win another team fight if they had 330 instead of 3.
That
that, you know, you're probably right. That's a good thing to point out, that the timing that we mentioned earlier, where they didn't get the best timing on that one, you're probably not wrong.
Maybe like
you're probably not wrong, yeah.
Yes, same holding statue.
Yeah, we can take
Yep. That could have been a huge difference there. Mhm. All right, I'm gonna mute my mic. Listen in.
We can go, obviously.
Okay, yeah, just get if you push him, just get to the side flanking every time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Keep point,
ground,
3,
Diva.
2, 1, hit attack.
Hitting the A,
Keep
hitting Diva, Diva point, Diva point.
Nice.
Diva,
Chill.
I can't.
Stabilize. If they push me, fight.
Diva, killing, support one, don't kill this one.
Shima. Can you go point?
Fight. Keep fight. Sim, this nice, third domain.
Baby one.
Nice.
CB. I have beat soon. They have no Kyrian because he died. Yeah, I'm way faster.
Well, that was really clean. Holy crap, huh? That wasn't even close. That was like just... That was basically textbook King's Row take. And that's kind of what should have happened. So if you remember, that's kind of what should have happened for Twisted Minds right away, too. Because remember, they got that early pick, and it was like, okay, like... And then they kind of gave up that advantage because they got way too aggressive. And I think that's like also where, if you look back at the map, that is where the time bank really kind of shifted. And I think it would have been a better result if they didn't do that. So, again, it's just one of those things where I'm sure they'll kind of figure it out and go from there. But yeah, either way, it's been a great series so far, Chad. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun.
Use a support ult, right? Then you start to feel a little bit better about it. But a fight goes so fast. Simple builds like about 20 or 30%.
Made champ when it starts. Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Significantly behind in rush and beat.
All right, here we go. AQ has a ton of ultimates, so they could really just take advantage of second point here too. Like, and Twisted Minds knows this. That's why AQ's willing to be really aggro right now. Outside of a random shot from like the Sojourn that could like change the team fight in favor of Twisted Minds, there's just no way they can win this team fight. It's because the ultimate advantage is so in favor of AQ that like they need to basically play so defensive before they get those ults, and it's just about as clean as it gets. I don't even think they can take this point back. I mean, there's a small chance maybe due to a wave respawn and Funny Astro. Actually, with Funny Astro delaying that, I think there's one more team fight. I actually think that enables another team fight because Yubi can TP the team. Funny Astro can use the mobility to get back really quickly. You can sim wall if you need a little bit of extra time. They're going to go for this, I think. And I think they should. I don't think they should. They can't hold that. Yep, exactly what they do. Everybody leads off. You're going to see an ult dump here from both teams. I think AQ will still have a slight advantage because of where their map control was. If KSA can maybe build up a Diva ult in time, this could make it very interesting. Twisted Minds does lose Quartz there for a second, though, so that's going to be there. But there might be a trade here. Nope, Funny Astro goes for the kill, but unfortunately does not get the kill, leaving at 33 HP, and yeah, AQ takes that. Now, Twisted Minds is really on their back foot right now, because while they do have some ultimates, and they probably can win this next team fight, they're going to have to play next to perfect Overwatch, and even that may not be enough just due to the sheer ult stack that AQ could do if Twisted Minds hex up one ult rotation. So it's going to be tough, and they kind of lost the momentum of being able to stop them early, so Twisted Minds are going to lead off with a Sojourn ultimate pretty quickly here because they need to get the map control back. They know it. They're going to try to get away with a pick here. If they can get one pick, that could lead to good results. They do get one pick, and now just to disengage from AQ, they're not too worried about it. They're like, okay, you know what, that was a team fight for them to, if they won that, people would be surprised because it was such an ultimate advantage. But now AQ starting to stack up again, and we'll see how it goes. They can't lose anybody here. They can't trade out. They have to play smart, efficient, and keep bringing the pressure to them. If they don't, they're just going to fall over. So this is first to 4, yes.
That might be enough.
This is first to 4.
Just be
absolutely.
Able to do it, as you're also going to get lobbed with another overclock, building these so fast.
Yep.
TP to the high ground. That's going to be controlled by AwCrap here. Twisted Minds give ground, but how much can they afford to give up before this map gets taken?
Are you Ludical? That's awesome. Heck yeah.
Forward. Knows the KSA's low in the high ground. If he can force a DMEC here, it would be massive. Tries to body block.
There's the Diva ult that we had mentioned. It's basically more of a defensive ult, but hey, you take that. Twisted Minds is going to pop. Yep. Kitsune, they do lose Simple there. So this might just be an AQ cleanup a limb here. Unless something crazy happens, they have beat. And just like that, chat, AQ takes a 2-0 lead. Now, keep in mind, I do think Twisted Minds can bring this back, but damn, not their best map right there either. Not their best map. So we'll see what happens next.
You lose this if you're Twisted Minds.
All right, let's do it.
Obviously, you're down.
Okay, so the bans here are Lucio and Freya. I do like the Freya ban out of AQ. I think that Freya is one of those heroes that can kind of get back into it. Twisted Minds is going to, offer that Lucio ban, so you're going to kind of slow down the gameplay a little bit. But I mean, with Juno, you can still be really aggressive. It just changes how you use your ultimates.
It is true.
I do like the pick out of from Twisted Minds with Simple on Ana. I mean, Ana into a Juno, like, you know, Ana grenades. But I mean, it might also just be like a go for a pick at the beginning type of spot. But we have seen Simple run this before, so.
You know, obviously KSA pretty good on the Ram, right? But Pistola, one of the, you know, better Ram players you can kind of think of.
He started playing Overwatch in 2017. Yeah, I started right when it came out, so.
We're gonna have to wait for an answer to.
Can you believe that next year, chat? I mean, I have been playing this game and doing stuff in this game for 10 years. A decade of me doing this. Obviously, streaming full time for like 5 years, but obviously I've been a part of Overwatch for 10 years.
Maybe off the back of that
Next year.
Twisted Minds can now push up, start to make these TP plays. OWCS is trying to be more defensive about it, but that's a bio on Ziad.
Quartz with a huge pick on the Labda. Definitely a pick you need to start with. That's a situation where...
that's a huge pick off early on, but then landed.
Started in 2016 as well. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Line damage now. Gone as Quartz is so dangerously low.
Some great orbs there for Checkmate, but he overextends to try and complete the kill.
Oh, really, Cactus? Probably. You know what else you're going to have to remember? That's when they stopped updating it, too, so.
I think now this turns into a bit of a stall stagger moment. Landon will be handled by Simple. Slap up upside the head for his audacity. Right. Twisted Minds now on the road.
And we've seen them go with this Ana a few times, and quite frankly, I haven't loved it. But that time, though, Simple.
I still feel like they should. I'm telling you right now, if Overwatch gets like an updated, amazing workshop mode, it would be so good for Overwatch. I'm telling you.
Making it a little bit more costly. Like, okay, if you take that,
we could do so many fun things with it too. I still think they should do what they do with that Fortnite thing they do with like other like people who do that stuff would be awesome.
This is a big pressure relief valve now for OWCS here. One pick means so much to them in this kind of fight. Now they can
I haven't seen them, Cactus, but I know of what they are. Yeah.
The disposal of both of these tanks is
I really do think it'd be amazing if they like did that. Like, it just adds so much, like, especially during downtime too. Like, when there's nothing happening, or like, you know, you're waiting for a new season. Having like a really advanced workshop that can allow it would just be so good for the game in that sense. Like, and I don't think they underestimate it. I think they just kind of always. It's probably one of those projects that always gets pushed back. Right?
Focus fire there on KSA, whereas Ziad,
where like they're like, yeah, we realize that update and that would be good, but we also want to do this, and this, so we're going to push that back because it's not as important.
Flanking, running into that.
I think it would be great. Plus, as a you know, someone who's been, you know, basically doing things with a lot of, you know, workshop people, it would be awesome to be able to like make some fun things and do all that.
For Twisted Minds, right? You do have this sim
This isn't on their list of things to improve on with that stuff.
You could try and kind of
here we go. Quartz is going in with the ultimate here. I mean, this has been a pretty rough go here for Twisted Minds. Sorry, I went on a rant about workshop mode for a second. I had to do that. Sorry. AQ is low on L, so this is a disengage situation. I mean, UB can just pop wall right after this anyway, and they should be able to take the team fight unless something crazy happens. They got to make sure they pop the wall in a time they don't lose someone. That was my concern, is if you wait and, like, truthfully, they could have just walled them off, and they would have just had the map control. So now instead, Twisted Minds wins it, you know, I mean, loses a team fight they probably should have won, and now AQ has an ult advantage, right? A massive ult advantage at that. I taking tomorrow off to rest. As of right now, probably. But y'all know me well enough to know that I might just go live anyway. We'll see how I feel in the morning. That's going to be I'll see how I feel in the morning situation. But I do want to get my sleep schedule back on track. I've been going to bed a little bit later than I normally want to. So if I want to do my usual 7 a.m. start time, I need to fix that. I'm only like, I'm falling asleep at like 1 o'clock, and I'm trying to fall asleep at like 11. You know? Well, that's what I'm saying. I think like the timing on that was a little bit too, waiting for 2 months there. I mean, AQ's going to pop Kitsune right now. You're going to go in with Kitsune with Ramatra. Ramatra's going to pick up ultimate, so unless something crazy happens, then maybe this play does enable that with like the flank TP play. But like they're just going to be able to all-in D.Va. Yep, exactly. Then you're going to, as long as you keep your teammates alive. Simple does get nano in time, so he's able to nano a teammate, and Kelix does go down, so maybe there's a world here where this trades out. But I think that with what's remaining here, I think it's just going to be a full hold here from AQ. I mean, I still think Twisted Minds is capable of full holding also, but I really do think the timing on that ultimate was just a little bit off, and that's really what the result was. Again, I have the perspective of I can see it from the spectator point of view, so it's not like it's necessarily a bad play that it wasn't used right away. It's just I have such full vision of the map that I can see what could be the optimal play.
The first two maps are just nice body shots.
Oh, I've actually been pretty good at getting my sleep schedule.
I mean, this is a rough one, right? TM at a few opportunities, but with some of these fights, when you're kind of And for Twisted Minds, right, you're kind of like pooling these ultimates, just kind of dump in at that one time. And really, it was that one big fight they kind of had. When you end up losing that, I mean, you're already looking at like, what, a minute on the clock at that time, right? I mean, you don't really have a great opportunity.
This is the grand finals. Yep.
That's why I mean, almost jinxing it, but speaking as if the map is over, because that is just not enough. It's not enough for really any team at this level. It's going to have to be a monumental, legendary hold here for Twisted Minds, I think, to win this map. It's so simple. He's going over towards the sim. Something that he started to make his name on a little bit.
You do love my early streams. Nice to watch some Overwatch as you're getting ready for it. Yeah, I love the early start. I mean, my schedule has usually been around, I mean, pretty much 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, give or take, depending on what time I go live. I usually do about 10 hours a day, and I love it. So,
are you going to get collapsed?
You know, and obviously we do longer days when we have start of seasons, drops, you know, sponsored stuff. So, what's
effective? I wonder if he's going to
let me know. That was very kind. So what do you need? You got to show me what you need. I know you wanted something, but I don't know what you wanted. I'm sorry, buddy.
D.Va with Bastion set up. So
okay.
I've seen some teams go to the Bastion here at times, able to just kind of like burn down that Ram. Now it's going to be labbed though. I think that also the Bastion.
Getting a lot of questions on a survey link.
A little bit to back up.
Anything good on there? Are they asking about like
so good on this map in the past,
creator codes or anything? Sorry, I gotta keep just bringing that up for the next every day ever.
On that high ground bridge, and he's able to hold on to his defense matrix, hold on to his flight form, and then use them to be quite aggressive.
Look at all this ground that Twisted Minds are.
I mean, at this point, really, by the way, the Twisted Minds backing up here, you've probably seen this a lot. This is a new strategy on Circle Royale. Teams give up the whole space there now. It's crazy. Good dive there by D.Va, though. I think this really sets up the AQ for success here. As long as you don't get demeched, what's going to happen here is they're going to have to push into them now. That was a good pick by Twisted Minds, because Twisted Minds need to push in as the D.Va's behind. They can't let it like sit there. They need to trade out, and that was a perfect reaction, right? As I say that, though, Landon goes into the back line, and now it's a 3v3. They do demech D.Va, but like trading out right now is probably the worst thing they can do, because like now they have to get back from spawn. The sim just used a TP, so now like they're gonna have numbers advantage. If Landon gets out, now you have a bit of map control. They're gonna wait for the D.Va, though. They're gonna play it safe because the time bank's in their favor, but that was not looking good for Twisted Minds there for a little bit. Definitely a little bit, you know.
In combination with the sim and D.Va. So you'll have a Kitsune Rush available here for AwCrap, but you do have Bunny Astro, who built up to this orbital rate quite quickly. I think that's going to be very impactful in this next fight.
Here we go.
Orbital Ray versus Rush. Landed. Oh, Quartz is getting dominated, just thrown at by AwCrap. All those players now to deal with him, and Funny Astro could be in some degree of trouble. Can't quite get back into the orbital rays.
It's hard to call this, but I really do think that just based off of the backline pressure they have, KSA doesn't have ultimate yet, so if they're able to all-in Ramatra, maybe that was a good sim wall. Because now you can basically just kind of like stay there, get one more Nemesis form. So there should be Twisted Minds can slow this down.
You're going to end up having your sim wall here to work with. You're also
Twisted Minds can slow this down.
Your orbital, so really nice TP in with the Kitsune Rush. No way that Quartz could kind of react and stay alive.
Here's that wall coming up now. It's going to cut off most of the defenders trying to hide, and Checkmate goes past it now, pressuring Quartz down. Straight through the TP goes Z out, and Yubi's been dealt with. Transcendence is in play, but it wasn't enough to save their critical Symmetra.
Yeah, Landon gets that. But your drops, heck yeah.
Gets a demech on the D.Va,
it's so close. They lose Simple there, and I think that's going to probably be it. They have a lot of backline pressure, yeah. So, I mean, Chad, if Twisted Minds wants to win this series and win the grand finals, they have to reverse sweep down 0-3. Is it possible? I don't know. Would I like to see it? It would be fun to watch. At least get us to a map 7, right? But damn,
this point, right?
It's been rough so far.
The self-proclaimed unbeatable team, the one that peaked apparently at the right time. Well, it turns out AwCrap had yet another level to go with, and on that previous map, it was Landon that led the way. Not only in the server, but also in terms of the damage done. Ridiculous showing. So it's Suravasa with Twisted Minds stake their final claim to
Crap, can you repost that caption below everything so it doesn't copy 800 messages?
Now that gets to attend an international event with their full roster.
How's it going, DB? Get your lake house yet?
Both teams kind of run out with that D.Va, so the sub does come in. It's TVNT and TVNT. I know probably the D.Va player more often than not for this team. Obviously, I was talking about how KSA can play it, but KSA, you'd like him kind of like on more like Ram type stuff. Is Quartz gets dangerously low. You're off the rip, and they're able to find the kill.
That's the opening. Exactly what they're looking for. Planet also able to keep Funny Astro fighting fit.
Is just sick, man.
What is going on right now?
Like, what do you even
Yeah, what do you exactly like? It just AQ is just
like,
playing on a
the
level of they want to win, they want to get out of here, and they want to go and do whatever.
As much as possible.
They're really trying to speed run this finals.
You need to try and punish checkmate.
Holy
like,
crap.
You've got the kind of composition. I mean, we're mirrored here, but you have the kind of comp that can be very threatening to a sim that has to play within relatively close proximity to a pretty dangerous front line. But also, you're not playing a comp that has flank pressure, so you.
Why they ban Hog? I mean, what if they went Hog? Imagine that.
Labbed down. You have to shoot better in your Sojourn category, but also, yeah, like deal with checkmate. He's just staying alive too long.
Yep.
And I also think on the last map in particular is that TP goes in towards that high ground there for Twisted Minds. I mean, just look at the health pools. Everybody on Twisted Minds are quite low, and AwCrap's in a good spot. But just like you mentioned, that's the kind of kill they need.
And Lapta was out of an awkward sight.
I mean, hey, a pick right there in the checkmate. That's good. Okay, Twisted Minds does take it back. So even though it was a bit of a rough start there, Twisted Minds does find opportunity and takes the point back a little bit there. So that's nice. So did who has to go to bed at 4:11 p.m. Yeah, they're just like, come on, I gotta get to bed.
Support ult here. Yep, using a TP to get TBNT back to the spawn.
That's
just to
great.
Swap, then get back into a new mech. I wonder, though, if you see this, though, for AwCrap, you have an idea that you're going to be able to get on the point, get the advantage.
I don't know how I feel about it. It is awkward.
Huge Kitsune.
To have lost his mech here. You've given priority back to AwCrap here in terms of that positioning. Ziad gets away from the front line. He's able to stay alive now. Payne might be chipped, but he is still fighting.
Play.
In Twisted Minds, their
Nice
decision
job.
to get the D.Va back to spawn will be scrutinized. But again, the alternative
I mean,
is to keep
just
the
clean.
Bunny
I mean,
Blaster
even
in
when
play
they
for
have
the
a good
next
play,
fight.
just
I think
immediately they
that's
lose the next
self-destruct
team
kill on
fight.
TVNT's mech.
It's rough right
What's the
now.
plan
They're
here?
trying, but like, damn.
And I like the decision.
They are
to go
trying.
back. Like, if you just have him in, a Bunny Blaster, Baby D.Va form there, you lose that fight anyway. I mean, the only way to give yourself an opportunity there for Twisted Minds is to be able to make that type of play for AwCrap.
All right, so for Twisted Minds to be able to take this team fight, they're going to have to be pretty much lead off with either Sojourn Ultimate. Yep, there it is. And then they have the wall here. This time around, they should definitely try to like counter with the wall if it becomes a problem. I feel like they've been a little bit too safe recently with some of their plays, which we saw them not do on the previous maps. It's been very interesting. It's almost like they've been playing a little more timid than against this, so we'll see.
Who, unfortunately, has not been able to get enough done this map so far. Outdone in the Sojourn category. So you be getting pressured pretty heavily here. Dodging his sim wall quite nicely. Self-destruct will be avoided and landed in checkmate.
There you go. Twisted Minds gets a couple kills. Huge. Exactly what you want to see.
They're trying to punish Yubi, which has been their game plan. This time, though, it does not pan out for them.
Twisted Minds, though, they play that quite well.
Give Sully a pet for me.
Sound barrier pushing up there for AwCrap. You be able to kind of juggle from side to side of his sim wall, give them an
Seth, thanks for the 18 months of chain. Thank you. Yes, this is EMEA right now. Yep. So Twisted Minds takes that team fight. They do have beat coming up. They have Kitsune. So technically, there's an ult advantage here where Twisted Minds just run through this point. They just be aggressive with beat. They know they have the beat advantage because Kellick's already used it, and they don't know where Landon's at with the timing. So I'd rather see them be aggressive with their beat here than wait on Landon to get Kitsune. They might be waiting on their own, I guess, Kitsune, but then they're going to mirror the Kitsunes and then be force out 2 ultimates, right? Right now, ideally, they do a 1-for-1, but the problem is now they're going to get... actually, no. They got enough. They're going to win the team fight. Look at the HP. Yep. So good decision there. AQ chose not to counter and then ends up going to that favor. So, yep.
For Twisted Minds.
I think also for AwCrap, you probably know that if you drop your Kitsune Rush, they're going to drop that beat, and when they have both those support ultimates going,
that was good.
You're just not in a good spot. Where I think if you're AwCrap, you'd rather just like TP in and then drop this Kitsune Rush and maybe see if you can actually
see what happens next.
Or catch them off guard before they're able to get a good use of this beat.
They dropped the shot there, just chewed through by the defense matrix. It's all about exhausting that resource from both Divas. Make it hard to mitigate incoming damage. Landed now with that Kitsune Rush they held onto. AwCrap flip midway through the fight. Now to drag it out. This sound
I know that about... But Surabasa, I think, is started to be teams do that. Okay, so... huge pick fight. I mean, AQ, I mean, this is crazy because, like, again, you look at the L charge and you think it would go in favor of Twisted Minds if they just play a little bit more aggro, but they're playing, like I said, it's almost like when they need to get into a situation where they need to play aggro and get up in their face, they played a little bit slower, and then they lose the team fight because of it. Like, that's the team fight. You look at their ults, they should probably win that, right? At the very worst, get out beat. So, like, in those situations, if you're going to lose that team fight, you also want to get them to have to use beat. So if you play aggro and you get on their Sojourn, then you're going to have Kellick use out, and then you have a bit of a reset. But now they're going to go into this team fight here with their own Sojourn ultimate, and then they're going to have beat counter it, and that makes it a little bit more difficult, right? Because they don't have beat themselves, so they could still lose even if they have these 2 DPS ultimates. Now, they do have an ult stack that should be able to win the team fight, but this counter beat's going to allow for them to be really aggro onto Quartz, or at least make an aggressive play. The D.Va ult actually gets used like a support ultimate. That was a really smart play right there. But now they're in this weird spot where like they're going to be battling the point. Simple does get a pick, though, on a checkmate, which is going to start off really, really strong here for Twisted Minds. AQ is able to get 2 more kills on the backline. That might actually be a team fight win again for AQ. We'll see what happens. Obviously, they managed to get a couple picks here, but I think having multiple alive here for AQ, and those are the supports at that, I think there's just too much sustain for them to be able to take this, but I could be wrong. D.Va is back in mech, though, so they can kind of fall back. Maybe it's going to go into kind of like this back and forth, but with well-placed sim turrets, I think this should go in favor again of AQ. No, they can soon a point. They're going for it, but I don't know if that's the... I don't know. Hard to call. I mean, hey, it's working. Labda with a huge pick on the Quartz. Landon almost falls off the map. Now there's their own Kitsune. You have basically landed on point against a sim. That might actually be the team fight. This is crazy. I mean, this shouldn't even be as close as it is. Holy crap.
Ziad turns back up. Yubi still charged up, looking for checkmate now. TP behind him. He gets crunched on. Twisted Minds find the sim yet again, but it's a sound barrier.
I mean, there's the beat. They're going to actually lose D.Va here, too. I think Twisted Minds has this. They do. They have it. They have it. 100%. Holy crap. You would have thought that was the last point on this map. That was the second point to make it 1-1.
I mean, that is a
desperation
fight win there for Twisted Minds. You lose that.
That's fair enough, Don. Maybe I missed that. Good call. Good call. I hear you on that one.
The game is essentially over here, and we are going into a match point scenario here. And
to your question, 2 point in that one.
Away with it, but Twisted Minds, I mean, you end up using that.
I think that's a good idea. I just don't. I just know me well enough to know I may not do something like that yet. But it's a good idea. I do my best to like watch a bunch of OWCS and do all that stuff. One of the reasons why I don't post more OWCS stuff on YouTube is because like the last I'm pretty sure, and I think Crap might be able to comment on this too. The last few times we uploaded like VODs of the matches, we got copyright strikes or like monetization sharing that it does. So like until they like are able to finally whitelist me, which they haven't yet, like it just isn't worth sometimes to post it because it's immediate copyright strikes. It rolls me. So I don't know like. It happens like almost every time due to the music they use.
And all of a sudden, AwCrap, sprint as they are, have to fight back into the map. Ziad over the edge here might signal a concession in this fight for AwCrap, trying to make use of checkmate, who for once is actually alive as the dust settles. But he has to throw himself off the map and go for a regroup.
Well, Twisted Minds kind of takes it a bit here. This is a good team fight. AQ does have retakeable ultimates here, though, in my opinion, which should be nice.
Both sides. I think the sim wall, though, will be quite impactful.
Yeah, imagine if Twisted Minds actually turns this all around.
Still Twisted Minds, a big advantage in this fight, a big lead to work with. Kitsune Rush is likely to be mirrored in this engagement. The sim wall could be a difference maker. Here goes Ziad straight away. Tries to collapse into Twisted Minds, who TP, repositioned to the left side of the point, but checkmate is here.
There it is.
Baby. Hitting far too hard for Twisted Minds to deny.
Yeah, in the sim wall, I mean, you just can't fight that if you're a TM, right? The sim wall comes in.
Okay. I mean, we can try it again, honestly, if we want. Crap.
It just gives such an advantage for checkmate, who you mentioned.
Maybe even just like highlight the semifinals and finals today, if we want. Put it on YouTube. Second channel, that is. I'm down for that.
Early, a lot of the times, the sim wall obviously gives him a great thing to play behind. I feel like anytime he's not on Kiri.
Here we go, chat.
It's a win for the other team. And then you think about some of those games, right, as we jump back in, where Simple is on, like a bat, for instance, and then you're also playing...
All right, Twisted Minds takes it 2-1 so far. Okay, chat, it's possible.
So good for AwCrap.
AQ has beat.
But of course, that flashpoint was...
Twisted Minds has Sim Wall, so they kind of counteract each other as like a third support ult.
Finding a first pick to give them.
Here we go.
First place, and now, well, they have access.
So I don't know if AQ knows the exact timings here on the ultimate, so they might be pretty aggressive here with beat if they feel like it. But Funny Astro gets a huge heal boost there, which is going to put him in a good spot to be able to pop out. Yep. And there you go. Now they're able to counter the ultimates at the exact same time, which is great. That timer was next to perfect. UB does pop the wall there, so you're going to have a little bit there. Labd is on a really cool flank right now. That might turn into either a awesome play that we go, wow, what a great play, or
The sim wall of Twisted Minds just forces AwCrap to call cancel on that engagement.
It wasn't the flank, they just took those sides in the map.
Needs a bit of magic.
Good TP. Very good job by Twisted Minds there. Yeah, they flipped the point, but I think if they win the overall team fight here, it's going to be really good. Although Funny Astro plays a little bit too aggro there, but that's fine. He still might get Funny Astro, but I don't think that pick is enough to be like, oh no, like that's the team fight. Now, if the Sojourn goes down here and they lose the point, that's a different story, but ends up being a really, really good team fight for Twisted Minds, and it allows them to build up some ultimates. Now, again, I would like to see Twisted Minds be really proactive with this Kitsune, but they might wait a little bit longer, so they might have battles of like Kitsunes here. But I do think that Twisted Minds has the overall team fight capability to shut down some of their plays with what they have. So, I'm fully expecting Twisted Minds to lead off with the Sojourn ultimate here. Oh, no, they're pausing again. Probably some ads. Pause in the middle. Here it is. Let's go get it back in.
Player sort of leave, but there'll be a chance here for AwCrap to group up.
Here we go.
On this point, though.
Yeah, I'm sure they're looking at the pause.
How come D.Va is so complimentary in this lineup? A lot of it, I think, is, and again, I could be wrong. I think D.Va is really good against escape in the sim. So D.Va isn't good against sim, like if you one-to-one matchup, but D.Va is really good at backline trades, so the sim doesn't just roll you the whole time. So I think that's why, plus the defense matrix and like a couple of other things there, but I think that's why D.Va ends up being strong. Plus Ramatra's banned right now, but yeah, that's why I think you see D.Va sometimes. It's a good hero that can at least get away from the sim pressure. And then obviously add defense matrix in there, the ability to trade backlines and brawl, taking TP when they go through a TP, you can defense matrix it. There's a lot of things you can do to be helpful, so. Yeah.
Just on the other side of that wall, the ladder was waiting for him.
Okay, so there's the wall right there, and a Kitsune from Twisted Minds. They're going to go for it here. I mean, they want to win this. They're going to send it, right?
Labda ends up getting taken down, and Ziad did not have the durability to get back into that map.
I mean, Twisted Minds might take this. I think we're getting another map. All right, it ain't over yet. 3-1. That's how you start. That's why you're confused with the laser DPS. Some advice I try to give sometimes in Overwatch is don't always look at the one-to-one, right? I think sometimes people get too, like, caught up on looking at the one-to-one matchup rather than the overall effectiveness of that, right? Like, D.Va versus Zarya is not a good matchup for D.Va, but if I'm playing D.Va against a Zarya, I'm not just sitting in front of the Zarya taking all, like, the left click from Zarya the whole time, right? I am going into the back line. I'm playing peel heavy. I'm flying around the map, right? But some people will be like, oh, no, you have a D.Va. You can't play D.Va. They have a Zarya. But, like, a lot of the time you have to learn to play to the comp rather than the one-to-one matchup. I think a lot of people get caught up in that one-to-one matchup. It's why sometimes you'll see a lot of counter-swap Carls who constantly swap. But like, sometimes that might be too much and you give up a lot of other utility that your team could bring. So D.Va's really good at that, and that's why D.Va will be played there. I also think D.Va's played here because Ramatra was... Actually, Ramatra wasn't banned. Hog was banned. Yeah, never mind. Ramatra wasn't even banned there, so I think that's more of a mobility-based situation there. I'm going to go pee. I'll be right back, chat. Hope you're enjoying.
It's like kind of going up against a mirror matchup, right, with the D.Vas in place. We've always seen teams try and take a little bit of a different...
Yep, I'm ready.
But, now that we get this mirror matchup, I think it's made it a little bit more interesting.
And on that previous map, the Suravasa, you could almost pinpoint the moment where Twisted Minds started to take the game over, and that was before Landon's connection issues started to take hold. They definitely were able to find themselves on even footing with AwCrap here, all else being equal. Now they're going to run it back. It's the Mei, though, for Labda. This is interesting, and obviously it's not an uncommon pick on this map. But
Mei Sim. We've seen this. We've seen Mei Sim be played.
To see D.Va here out of Twisted Minds.
Yep, we've seen Mei Sim be played. This is good.
Labda's been really good on the hit scan. I mean,
yeah, but like, it's not that Lab is bad. Like, you know, it's not like that. Like, the Lab is not popping up on hit scan. It's just like this is a more brawl-based comp. This is going to slow down what they're doing. So, while Quartz on Sojourn here could actually like turn the tide, I think the idea is they want to play as a unit and as a brawl. So, and they can always swap. Do you have to go now?
I guess it's fairly
no worries. Do your thing. Have a good rest of your day. Appreciate you being here when you are. Heck yeah.
A lot of this early poke damage is taking them low, and now some of those defense cooldowns have been drawn out. Simple crosses the map there to make sure that...
Some good heals going out. Not bad.
There are a lot of red crosses, white crosses rather on the screen, and there's Funny Astro down.
Everybody's close to dead here for Twisted Minds. That's what you're trying to say.
A lot of trades happening. I don't know where this is going, but Simple basically just killed, what, 3 in the back line? So Twisted Minds takes the early team fight. It wasn't clean, though, so they're not going to get a ton of time. They'll probably push it to maybe where, like, the jump pad is and then back away. Lab is trying to wait for a Mei wall and then back up. Yeah, so right around with a pad, like you can see, it's like where the jump pad is. So,
yeah. Bit of a wrench into things.
Did the color change? Oh, when they change the teams? Yeah, that can happen. Oh, wait, no, that was AQ that won the point. Holy crap, my bad. That threw me off too, by the way. I'm so sorry. They've had Twisted Minds as orange like most of the series, so I got thrown off for a second. I didn't kill feed watch. That's my bad. Okay, Twisted Minds takes back the map control here. I was gonna say I thought Simple was on Twisted Minds anyway. I'm like, what am I talking about? Okay, we're good.
With the rush, right?
That's on me.
They may
All
end
right.
up getting the lead.
Pretty even game here. Obviously, it's a a really good play here. Actually, UB and TVNT are able to find some pressure there in the back line. Now they're staying here. Good Mayout coming out. This Mayout might be enough to win the fight. That's still a good pick by Quartz. I think they, at the very least, you force out beat because of that. I know you give up the idea of like a Sojourn ultimate, but at the very least, it at least gets rid of that ultimate. Now you can counter with your own beat because you have that. So we'll see how it goes, right?
Astro coming up in this next fight.
Excuse me.
You don't even get the lead there for Twisted Mind, so the bot will go deeper here into their territory as AwCrap will get on it. No support ults available for AwCrap as it looks like a few players actually get caught out by the May wall, and it's going to be that B here for Funny Astro. You're going to be able to kite this though as Yad gets dangerously low.
Oh, Landon can't get away though. I don't know if he realizes just how close Funny Astro was to him.
Funny Astro with a huge pick right there to start this, and this should give Twisted Minds the lead. I mean, getting a pick right there, getting some map control. They might try to flip the map on them the other way, but I think this is like going to give them the lead. You have sim walls from both sides here. I do think that Ramatra will benefit from this in comparison to the D.Va, so you might see an early D.Va ult too during the sim walls to try to maybe make the Ramatra get a little bit more pressured. You're going to get the counter wall. There you go. And then sometimes you'll see D.Vas ult this, and you're like, why would you ult a sim wall? It's more along the lines of just like, you all in, you go for a kill, and then you ult, and if you get a kill, it disrupts them, and that's basically what you see. You get the kill on Quartz, you pop your ultimate. You could already, you could argue, or not even argue, the trade is a good trade, and now because of that play, the D.Va gets 2. You do DMAC the D.Va a little bit late, which could be good, right? I think it still might be a winnable fight if they can keep UB up. I don't know if that will actually happen. And then I do think there was a little bit of a wasted ult there, but that will be something we see here in a little bit. Now they have Mail coming up here again.
Yeah, and
right?
Twisted Minds ends up burning their annihilation there towards the end of that, where this sets up AwCrap image for potentially like a really good two fight kind of combination, right? I mean, you're going to end up with double support ult here and Blizzard. You're going to have the Ziad with that self-destruct, which allows him to go really deep into the backline.
Beat here.
Maybe pop a Kitsune here.
Okay, TP off angle taken up by UB here. Should be denied eventually. Oh, Kitsune rush place from that position.
There it is. They're going to disengage. You ready to see Kitsune again, chat? Nope, they're going to go with beat. Even better. I like the beat aggression. It allows you to save a Kitsune for the next engagement. That's going to be a kill. Oh, no, never mind. Went through the Stargate to a different map. Or a different planet, I guess you could say. That's what it looked like, right? Just walk through the Stargate. Like, all right, see you later.
Sort of whiffed sound barrier. Doesn't end up hurting AwCrap too badly.
Jackmate gets a bunch of limbs there, and AQ is going to take a bit of a lead. Still 5 minutes left, plenty of time. Twisted Minds actually has a pretty good ult advantage going into this next team fight outside of the sim wall. The sim wall can, I mean, they're going to both have sim walls, what I mean. So like Checkmate sim wall can kind of alleviate some of that, but they're just going to back up. Same thing. Take the lead, back away. Just back and forth. An Overwatch Stargate collab. I wish Stargate was still making stuff because my dad loves Stargate.
Push map as you could ask for. Twisted Minds only 5 or so meters behind. Want to get back into the map. Sim TP there to threaten something.
All right, they're all backing up a little bit.
Our symbols are going to be mirrored. Quartz has to sort of go for a flank here to work.
My dad used to watch Stargate SG1 and then he would rewatch it. I'm not even joking. My dad is one of those people that rewatches stuff a lot. I'm the opposite. I like to rewatch, but I need to give it time.
Twisted Minds are behind the 8 ball once more.
Good trades right here. I mean, I think they're actually going to DMAC even time. Yeah, and this team fight should go in favor of Twisted Minds. And truthfully, this is one of the few team fights we've seen where they haven't traded out two people. So they should take the lead here, and they might even have opportunity to get the checkpoint. They're going to have to win a team fight beforehand because you can get back quickly with TPs. They're going to slightly disengage to the choke where the jump pad is because they need a way for Sojourn to get back and for Quartz to set up on the high ground. Don't be surprised to see ultimates from both sides here in a second. TVNT might use Ramatra ultimate here to survive, but has to go into full right-click mode. Huge pick by Quartz. That pick by Quartz is going to allow for them to get a little more pressure, but unfortunately, they do lose their Ramatra, and a lot of that's when the D.Va is going to defense matrix the Ramatra heals. So
UB though, also a problem. Ziad tries to get forward and ends up getting demeched.
Doesn't get any with D.Va. You might see Twisted Minds come back here in a second before they get the lead. Yes, this is what's going to happen. They're going to bring back their Ramatra in a second. They're going to Kitsune. They might give up the lead if they have to. I don't think they will, though. We'll see. I just don't know where their Ramatra's at. They're almost back to the point. There's a Ramatra. Now they're going to flip the map. Now, The thing here is for Twisted Minds, they could actually outstack this with both their support elements if they want to, and if they can win the team fight, they're going to get that. But Checkmate does have Mayel coming up here, and Symmetra also has Wall coming up, so it's not going to be an easy fight for Twisted Minds. They need to recognize that. Really good Wall here. I don't mind the Kitsune. They don't have beat just yet, so they might lose that. Funny Astro just falls over there, so they don't have the beat combo to go with it. The Kitsune should be enough, but the Mayel ends up being great. Excellently played by AQ there. I mean, I saw what Twisted Minds was aiming for. They do pick up 2 more kills, though, so there's a chance they could kind of slow this down a little bit and maybe get a kill or 2. At the very least, they've given themselves maybe given up the checkpoint, but then that's it. Like they may not even give up the checkpoint yet. I don't know what the numbers are looking like and when they're going to be back in time in general, so that's going to be a wait and see. But it'll be an interesting wait and see that for sure.
Not being able to use that.
All right.
I mean, that is a huge kill there for AwCrap. That allows them to get the lead, and it allows them to potentially back up. Landon will end up having this rush as they're so good at using this. That's going to be Quartz getting a little bit of pressure on him, and then they're going to use the beat.
Ziad completely disjointed their match.
Huge limbs there.
Yeah. Symbol does come up in order to sort of
good job by Twisted Minds to turn that team fight. Now they're going to get a trade and a kill on the bot. Got to give credit to Landon. Landon has been getting a limb after a limb today in situations where you don't want to lose somebody there. The constant trades are what's making this difficult for either team to be able to push this back. I mean, look at the score right now, Chad. It is so close. Like, for example, if Twisted Minds wins this team fight, you know what happens next? They take the lead.
You're also going to be at an advantage here for AwCrap in terms of like sound barrier and how you're building.
I say pop Simwall the moment they pop Kitsune, because I think what's going to happen is, oh no, wait, okay, I like this. I love the aggression here. They're going to Kitsune counter, so you need to pop your wall to be able to, yes, there it is. And they're going to be able to DMAC Diva, so they DMAC, oh, Quartz gets the pick on the checkpoint. This is the checkpoint. They can't trade, and they don't trade either. They don't trade. The lead is going to go to Twisted Minds with about a minute, and they got the checkpoint here, right? AQ doesn't have it yet. AQ's going to spawn up. They're going to get about another, I don't know, 8 or 9 meters probably before they're going to be contested. I wouldn't doubt if they disengage back a little bit.
And Quartz is able to connect with those shots, gets him out of mech before he's
DP behind him. Yep. Mayel might come out here in a second the moment they see that, but they flip the map. Actually, an excellent reaction by Twisted Minds. They flip the map immediately. They're going to be able to get the Ramatra here unless there's a cleanse, so they might have gotten the cleanse out. But no, Ramatra gets around the wall just in time. So the Mayel ends up going nowhere, and they get an extra like 20 meters because of this. Now Twisted Minds is kind of, they're going to be able to Kitsune this. They can Kitsune back, they're going to counter. Yep, they're going to use both their ultimates, they're going to go in. There it is. Diva has ultimate, so Diva's probably going to pop the ult now. Yep, there you go. This is just, like, once again, this is just to cause some disruption in what they're doing. They get Landon on a pick right there. Now they're going to be able to look for the TP. Wherever the TP went, the May is going to be a free kill. Unless, there you go. They trade backline, and now they're going to go back to the point. But that was a huge scenario there for Twisted Minds because they were able to get the checkpoint and get a lead after that, because remember, the checkpoint's huge here. So now they can take an early team fight, force out Simwall. If they lose the team fight, they'll get a good spawn anyway. They'll get a good spawn anyway, so they don't have to worry about overtime spawns right now, and that's why it's so important on the checkpoint. And then they'll have one last team fight if they do lose this one. The hope here is to get both Landon and Checkmate's ults out. AQ knows this. They're going to try their best to use just one. There's the ult we saw. They're already all in and on the tank. Thankfully, they added Mayfreeze back with one of the perks recently. Really added to the fun dynamic of tanking. They get the kills. They did exactly what they wanted to. Checkmate did what both teams did what they wanted to accomplish. They forced out an ultimate, and they saved an ultimate. Now, Quartz is going to lead off with this next team fight. They are in OT spawn, so they're not going to be able to get back just in time to a team fight they would want to. It is what it is. Last team fight here should be the game winner. Whoever wins this team fight wins. There's a chance Twisted Minds can get back, but I think the overtime spawns will make it difficult. Kind of catch them by surprise. Checkmate has to back up a little bit here. Still has Simwall. Quartz is going to lead off with the ultimate. They have to disengage slightly. They're disengaging slightly. They're backing up. Both teams are just chilling this out right now, right? Labda's ultimate's going to make or break this. Oh no, wait a second. AQ is going to get a slight ult advantage. I think Twisted Minds might have disengaged too heavily here. They need an early pick. They need an early pick because this Mayel's going to basically just kill Ramatra, and they're going to be down one, and they have beat to go with it. So if Funny Astro can get beat in time, that'd be huge, but... Oh, wait a second. Ramatra gets out of there. There's a chance now. They get the kill on May. Oh my, they traded tanks, but they have the ults now. Simple's going to pop Kitsune. They're going to pop B right after, too. They're going to ult stack this. Zayed does have ultimate, so they're going to try to stay on the right side of the wall, but there's a boop! Doesn't get the kill, though. They trade out. They're on Diva now. It's still too hard to call. Landon gets ultimate in time, backs away. TVNT switches to Wrecking-Ball to get back quickly right now, but Quartz gets the pick onto Kellex. Now you go back and forth with the TP, and Twisted Minds wins the map onto map 6.
Twisted Minds once again step after step.
When you know they're going to dive your support, you want to take. Yes, trades are a really effective part in Overwatch. That's how you end up like having back and forth battles. I mean, we saw this match. The reason why that match was so close, it wasn't because teams couldn't win team fights. Not at all. That wasn't the case at all. What really made the difference in this game was that there was a lot of trades. So when you trade out, you can't commit to the team fight because of how close the map is. So trading becomes important in Overwatch. I think a lot of players just don't want to go to the backline, which I get because it took me a long time personally to get that playstyle down. It took me a long time. I was not used to that playstyle for about a year and a half in Overwatch 2. Eventually, I figured it out. I went for more backline pressure, and now I do that consistently and probably get better results because of it, right? So I generally win a lot of tank games now with that. So.
Yubi's been frying these last couple of maps. But it's not as if he looks worse.
NA is after this one, and the crazy part is I'm going to do my best to watch the finals, but I have a sponsor stream at 8 o'clock to watch more esports and rivals. So. Hopefully the timings are good, because this has been going for a long time.
Yet again, folks. It's going to be Sojourn, Tracer for both these sides.
Here we go.
Getting a little nervous here. Twisted Minds breathing down their neck, threatening a reverse sweep against the team that really has been an undisputed.
If they draw, will it keep going? If they drew like a Hollywood, but they can't draw a flashpoint. So, but yes. Twisted Minds gets the pick on Lambda.
Picking up where he left off.
And the other day, if you remember back, obviously it's KSA in for TVNT, but
okay.
They play a comp like this.
Also, the bans were Sim and Ayari. Remember how I said this was a good Sim map? AQ was like, nope, we're not doing it. Could that backfire? I don't know.
In a significant portion of those duels.
Ooh, a huge start here by Twisted Minds, too. They're up in their spawn.
Like those are going to game 7.
I want to point out that they weren't playing Kiri on that Colosseo map. So Checkmate was literally 1v2 on a lot of those.
A little bit aggressive there, but it should be fine. Diva can get him out.
In situations where like it just so happened that Yubi was fighting alone, he was still coming out on top. This guy has become much more than just a Sim 1 trick. I think that's...
Ooh, Lambda! Huge shot. I mean, they're going to disengage out, which is the right play. They're going to try and buy time for Simple's Kitsune. About 3 seconds away from a Kitsune once it happens, that is. Now, Kitsune now. Right when they see the opportunity, they're going to pop it. Ooh, they trade on Landon. They might not need it. They might actually save it because of that.
Really good since he's come in. Going after some of those backliners, right? This time, he's able to deal with a Landon.
The point flipped twice there? I don't know. This is confusing.
It is a flip, though, so Twisted Minds is in control.
All right, Twisted Minds won it. I mean, good on them to, like, save their ults.
They're threat of winning this fight out. Looks like Quartz was able to get in there and just beat Lambda. Take the point. Jeez,
oh, you've got this, Blue. You've got this.
This guy's really taking the game into his own
hands. Your day gets better.
This one looks like look at the position Quartz is in up on that high ground with the overclock to work with here as it'll be Yui versus Checkmate here on the point as Checkmate just making sure we're going to trigger OT.
Yep.
A touch on the point. It's going to take more than that though. Kitsune rush now a little bit later from Landon. And Lambda's able to make use of it.
I mean, there are trades that can happen. I'm looking at the HP of them. This is an interesting. We'll look at Checkmate's health on a point. Wow. All right, there you go. Ooh, those trades by TVNT might actually be a difference maker because now you could pop Diva Altair anyway and force them back. So even if they all in to try to get these kills, it's now a 2v2 on point. Kelix is kind of like, do I need to go back here? Do I?
Need to regroup.
Okay, they're fine.
Yeah, Twisted Minds ends up using their beat there, Funny Astros, and it only connects with like 3 players. And Kelix is going to have this beat here. To be able to
I think the beat was to get those follow-up kills, though. I think that's what the whole point was. Because they can use beat here, but they got a little bit of map control. Probably a... There's the beat. There's the ultimate. Diva's low, Diva's low. Why am I making call-outs for the team?
It looks like CS found something. He's chasing across the map.
All right, they're resetting right now. Nothing's really going to happen for a second. They're going to look for backline trades. If they can get the Sojourn here on the outside of the map, that might be a good thing.
This is a good look.
They get the pick on Landon, so it's still possible, but I think that Checkmate still has good map control here. TVNT's getting good trades. That's a good sign for like the rest of the map.
It's too little too late for Twisted Minds. Should be an AwCrap take now. And it's just Yubi to try and keep it going. Simple's turned up yet again.
Huge.
They can't fight for it. 1-0 to AwCrap.
An extremely competitive.
Remember, chat, the last time that we saw a flashpoint map, keep in mind, the last time we saw a flashpoint map, you know, AQ did win the first point and Twisted Minds took the rest of the series. My concern right now for Twisted Minds is the ults they have. They can win right now with Kitsune, but then they're going to be in this weird ult timing where they might get overlapped on ults, so they need to win this team fight. This is a very important team fight to win. And they might try to win it without that. Yubi with a good stick there, forces out Diva ult. Perfect. That's a good way to start things. They might even be able to get some of the point like, pressure here for a second, it's Kitsune time. Probably 3 seconds. Oh, no, but Labda gets the pick on the Yubi. They're going to go for it, though. They still think it's winnable. They still think it's winnable. The Kitsune is going to be good, but Landon might get it here in a second and get right ready for Landon to pop the ultimate. Pops the ultimate at low HP. So there's a chance they can still get a backline trade, but they do flip the point. Or not flip the point, get the point. Funny Astro can come back with beat in about 2 seconds. There's the beat. Saves the D.Va, but I'm concerned D.Va's HP could still get low after all that, so they need to make sure they get somebody back there to heal the D.Va. Checkmate has Pulse Bomb coming up. D.Va's getting low, trying to fly around the map. Simple will eventually TP there. Starting to sustain the HP. They're trying to hold the point at the same time, though, so they get Funny Astro because of that. D.Va's on point, has ultimate, can now pop ultimates. This is huge. Now you can give a little bit of, like, wiggle room for your teammates, but they got to trade the point. They do trade out D.Va suits. Quartz gets the pick on the D.Va, so it's going to go in favor of AQ, but a decent point here for... A decent point here for Twisted Minds, although I think they would probably want to get that Sojourn ultimate back because now they're definitely at that ult disadvantage. Now keep in mind, we talked a little bit about the ult disadvantage they have right now, so we knew this was going to happen, right? So that's why it was important that Twisted Minds won the first team fight, because if Twisted Minds wins the first team fight, they get this 63%. They're going to lose the next team fight more than likely because of their ultimates unless they get a really cool pick, but the idea is that you get some of those ults out early now so you can regain that ult advantage on the second point still. Sometimes teams will heck that up, and you just lose. You're just down 2-0 right away. AQ already popped Sojourn ultimate now, so now they can start slowly getting in there. They're going to get... Ooh, but Yubi goes down again. A lot of early picks here out of Checkmate. That's not helping their cause right now because it's going to be a little bit tough, so...
5 or more seconds apart are really
we'll see.
beneficial for them.
And it's got to be tilting. I mean, Yubi dies at the hands of Labda.
Now, ideally on AQ's side, what's going to happen right now is AQ's actually going to pop Beat and Kitsune to win this team fight. But they're going to start with one of them. It's going to depend what it is. But they're Simple with a huge pick. Now they're going to have to counter. There's a Kitsune counter. Simple and Funny Astro are getting close in ultimate, but Yubi again goes down to Landon. So now both Tracers are traded out. This is the time when you need to look for. Kelix is going to pop Beat if it gets a little bit weird here because they're going to get low. Quartz is getting chased. So now they're going to try to get somebody to go to the point. D.Va does make it to the point, which is what you're seeing. Now Simple can get to the point by TP and a TVNT. Then you can pop Kitsune, but they use Funny Astro, they use Beat first. Then they're going to pop the Kitsune to the point. Now, Kelix is going to counter. They do have a D.Va ultimate on AQ side, so they're going to use that as an extra HP. So you're going to see the D.Va be the one to go to the point.
Checkmate ensures he'll be ejected, and now Pulse Bomb.
Yep, and that's exactly what happens. AQ wins the team fight, and then that's that.
Little bit of argy-bargy here for Checkmate as he runs through Twisted Minds.
It's definitely tough for Twisted Minds now because they used so much to commit to that ultimate, they gave up an ult pool.
Yeah, and I mean, the Sim ban, maybe a little bit surprising there for AwCrap with how good they have used that hero throughout all
Match point is right.
But honestly, Twisted Minds started to kind of get their number
here we go.
A little bit. Now that Labda is back on the Sojourn, and then you get Checkmate here, kind of rolling on the Tracer. It's giving them a big...
They need a pick from Quartz here.
They're going to get to this point first and control the high
or a
ground.
Tracer pick.
Ziad's only died twice.
One of the two needs to happen.
TVNT's 4, Kelix 1 death. Managing to avoid a lot of this Tracer pressure.
They're in the neutral right now. Quartz is going to go down, I think, in a second. No, they had to use Cleanse early. They should be okay. TVNT does have ults. You could pop ultimate on point. Oh, what a stick. They don't have Cleanse either because we just saw the Cleanse be used. Remember what I said earlier, Chad, how about it's important on Tracer to get cooldowns out? That's why that was important, because we just saw Cleanse have to be used early because there's a little bit of chip damage. What happens? Ends up getting a Pulse Bomb kill on Quartz. And now you're kind of reset. TVNT's getting low again here. No ultimates on both sides. Landon does have ultimate coming up, so it's going to be kind of a tough spot. I think AQ might be able to just take the point here temporarily. They're definitely DMAC and D.Va. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. Landon doesn't need this yet. Now you're going to counter. Yep, that's an obvious counter at that point. Really, really good cleanse there. That should be enough to give some survivability time. They still might trade out. Nope. Instead, AQ wins that team fight. Good news for Twisted Minds, though. There is a good news situation here for Twisted Minds. They didn't let the point be captured during that. So when Landon made that play, at the very least, they now have their own Kitsune and have an ability to bring their ults back. But the problem is that they might get aggressed on consistently here, and I wouldn't doubt it if we see... Well, no, we're going to see a Beat counter. They're just going to use Beat against Kitsune. Ideally, you actually aggress and force them to use Kitsune at a spot you don't want them to use it by being aggressive with Beat. But... when you have a lead, you kind of can play it a little bit safer here now, especially with a 2-0 lead. You can kind of basically just go like punch for punch with your trades. Instead, they do exactly that. They get aggressive with the Beat, which is I love to see. I love the aggression. Now they have an advantage because the D.Va's out of the team fight for a second. They know they can go in right now without any peel because the D.Va had to do that. There should be a trade on the back line. Is exactly what it is. So the reason why that was such an impressive play because once you DMAC the D.Va can't get to the point. You need to get back in your suit. You need to make sure you're getting out of there safely. So the D.Va gets DMAC'd, and then they can go for the back line and trade because there's no peel. At the very least, the Kiriko gets out, but you're going to be able to get the Lucio. So Twisted Minds wins an important team fight and now takes a slight ult advantage. So obviously Twisted Minds has to win every team fight here on this point, otherwise they lose the map. So if you want to see that, we're gonna see what happens, right?
Overclock from Quartz gets
Here we go.
use that sound barrier early, and they try and make a play with AwCrap. They try and see Ziad all the way in on top of Quartz. They're not able to finish him off, and that allows them to just push on forward once Ziad gets DMAC.
Checkmate under pressure. Little recall
Okay,
out.
Funny Ass was really close to beat. Checkmate actually has had all the cooldowns taken out there, so it's gonna slow down for a second here. They're gonna slow for a second. They're trying to build up Landon's ultimate, so they're going to go into the neutral for a little bit and try to get a pick. D.Va does need to drop down. They're in a little bit of a trade fest down there. There's the beat. I like the aggression here by Funny Astro. They need to get a trade here, though. They're going to commit beat. They have to get somebody. They do. That D.Va D-Mech is more than enough. That D.Va D-Mech is exactly what they need, but Checkmate gets a huge pick on the Quartz, and that could turn this fight. They're going to have to go for a trade very soon, and Landon's going to pop that Kitsune here in about 3 seconds. Checkmate has taken over. I actually think that might be it. I think AQ is going to take this map. No, but Landon gets remeched on. This gets really interesting. I don't know if anybody else can touch. That's going to be the question here. If they can touch, there's a chance. Because Simple has ult soon too, and they can't touch. And that is the game. What ended up looking like it was going to be a stomp ends up being a 6-map, like, just an absolute beauty of a match. But QAD, in the end, picks up the win, picks up the victory.